Hey everyone, today is Wednesday, the 7th of April 2021. This is The Gap, episode 560. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here. How's your week going, Joab? Any exciting happening?
No, it was Easter, yeah, right? So,
it was
we had
long
Easter
weekend
and stuff, and ate too much chocolate. My little sister came down from Queensland, somehow managed to dodge what seemed like almost imminent border closures to get down here and got back up okay and all that. Just pretty good weekend.
I didn't know it was Easter until I think you mentioned it last week, like maybe at the end of the podcast.
How did you not know?
It's not really a thing here because they don't get the, like, in Australia you get the long weekend, right? It's like fucking 8 days off or something stupid. But here it's not like that. Also, the fact that I don't go shopping centers anymore, so I don't know there's chocolate around.
Right.
But the grocery store here wouldn't do that anyway because they're not like that.
Too fancy.
It's too fancy. Yeah. Maybe they do organic chocolate or something. But
yeah, they do whole cocoa beans that you can, macerate into your own chocolate if you so desire.
So I didn't know that it was a thing until you said it was a holiday, and then I started getting phone calls from people back home.
Yeah.
So
did you drop everything to get some chocolate or what?
My wife got some sort of egg from it must have been with like a, I don't know, Uber Eats or something like that. So someone must have given her chocolate and she accepted it. I don't know. Because I woke up that morning and it was on my desk. I was like, all right, I'll eat it. Fuck it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And is that why you decided to betray the covenants of the Beard brothers? Is that what happened here?
I did.
Or... yeah. What happened? What's going on? I'm sitting here with fucking 16 kilos of fucking hair on my face.
Right.
Thinking I'm desperately attempting to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And here you are.
I figured I'm just going to start again and then go past you.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Prestiged. And now it'll be like 5% faster. It's a beardy idle game. That's a good idea for an idle game.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Growing.
Idle beard.
Yeah, idle beard. Genius.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I can go outside now, so that's probably the reason why. Time to tidy up and shit. Look presentable.
Yeah, right. I don't have that excuse.
Yeah.
I've always been able to go outside.
Yeah.
And I haven't been looking presentable for about 8 months. I don't know. Good times. Excellent. Cool. Okay. So, good weeks. We're recording a little bit early this week because we have a bit of a timing conflict. Daylight savings ended.
It did. Recording later. My basketball starts in 15 minutes, Joab, so chop. We got 10 minutes.
Choppy.
Maybe 30.
Yep. We'll wrap it up quick. Hey, speaking of 10 minutes, I've been listening to Bite Size Bits podcast. That's pretty good. People should check it out. It's like the tech news of the day in 5 minutes, and it's an interesting concept for a podcast because obviously we prefer our podcasts to be extremely long, but this one's like 5 minutes long. It's literally exactly how long it takes me to make coffee in the morning. So, I got the espresso machine, or I do the filter coffee, and so it's a bit of a process. It's not like pouring hot water into a instant coffee mug or whatever trash you drink over there. We drink good stuff. But yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's timed very well because you're just able to. Yeah. Anyway, we've been fans of Bite Side for fucking years, and we used to go to their live shows back when the Gap was first kicking off.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see they're still going, just like we are. Anyway, check that out. Video games.
Yeah.
I actually played quite a bit.
I played Some things, like I've played a lot of
one trash game.
Yeah, I played a bit of Puzzle Quest. But no, I played jumped into Satisfactory at the end of last week or the beginning of last, like after we finished recording. Still playing a bunch of that. We had some weird things going on in that game. Like, oh, this game is getting a bit broken over here. Everyone's got big heads and there's like giant fucking lizards walking around. And it took us a little while to realize they had done like an April Fool's joke on the experimental branch. I just thought like shit was wigging out because Drew's like, why is your head really big and why is there like a giant doggo thing walking around? And then we decided to make it a joke. And then when you came in and joined, we were like, we don't know what you're talking about, Joab. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Why is everything? Yeah. You're on something.
And I'm taking screenshots, and you guys are talking about some fucking. Oh, it's just a matter of perspective. So I'm recording fucking videos. And then like I was uploading the clip I took of the giant lizard doggo, and it occurred to me that you guys were fucking with me. And I'm like, for fuck's sake.
You got.
I got. But yeah.
But we've been making some progress. We're doing like one of the space elevator milestones at the moment because we've sort of maxed out everything on the hub terminal. We've got like transportation.
The way progression works in Satisfactory is you need to send a certain amount of resources, constructed resources, to certain areas to either unlock the next tier of progression or to actually progress to unlock the next items that you'll use for progression. And the space elevator is basically this completely separate. So you've got your tiers 1 through through 4, I think, and then 5 and 6 require a space elevator unlock, or is it?
Yeah.
1 through 3 and 4, 5, 6
something
required.
Like that.
But yeah, you got to send these resources to the space elevator, and it is basically an idle game, a very active idle game. Like you are the fucking little worker in a RTS or something that where there's never any combat. Like
there's combat. That's
not really. I mean, the only time combat is combat is when you're out of ammo and it's too far away from anywhere to actually construct more. Then it's hairy. Otherwise, you just fucking. I've got a rifle. I've got dynamite for days. I just fucking blap everything. But yeah, so you wind up needing to provide this space elevator with more and more and more resources, specifically constructed resources. And as you get further into the game, those constructed resources actually diverge from stuff that you actively use. You wind up like, I don't know, you've made like fucking 50,000 smart plates.
Which we need.
Nothing in the game uses smart plates except for space elevator resources.
Yeah.
So there is no reason to continue making smart plates, but you just keep fucking doing it.
We need them.
We don't need that many. Oh my god. We need fucking motors, and you refuse to make any fucking motors.
I think we've done it.
Did you go back in?
No,
because I was 95% of the way through making the motor factory.
Yeah, and then you left. I think there was like
you left, motherfucker.
A machine here, and then like something wasn't connected properly.
Left.
I'm like, what is going on?
It was 3:30 in the morning or some shit, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta go. Yeah, I'm gonna bail." I'm like, I just need to connect. I just need to do this one thing. You gave me the old reverse Drew.
I said I'd leave it on. You're like, no.
Didn't you? Said you wouldn't. Oh yeah, no, you did say you'd leave it on, but it was actually I had to go get drunk.
So we've started like expanding out a little bit as well. We've got like a brand new coal area going because we needed coal for I think we were making computers or something, right?
Yeah, we need steel, I think.
Yeah, we need steel.
We need, yeah. So we got that's Gerald's little, I don't know, platform in the sky. He's made a. I got him to. Oh my god, it was like fucking pulling teeth. But I got him to fucking make a zip line up to the platform, and like he just sat there the whole time, and he's like, "Nah, you're gonna die. You'll die. It's too steep. You'll never make it. You'll die." And I'm like, "Just fucking do it, and I'll worry about if I die or not." And he makes it.
Yeah.
And I zip up, and then I zip back down. I'm like, "Look, I didn't die." And he goes to zip down, and he pancakes, and it was pure fucking comedy. I've never seen.
Classic.
He's so bad at ziplining. I've never seen someone so bad at ziplining. It is perfection. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we've got like a second steel mill going, which is Drew just finished setting up a truck that is transporting the steel pipes and I think steel beams back to the main base, and now we're using that for computers or some shit. I can't remember, but there's like multiple things now starting to come into to the bases. I think the next one we got to work on is the plastic, because that's out near sort of like the coastline, and there's a lot of plastic being made right now because we're using the plastic to also power our coal generators and fuel generators. So it's just like there's just plastic everywhere. It's fucking all over the place. So we got to do something with the plastic. I think that's computers as well. But it's kind of just sitting there at the moment. Like every time I go over there to check on something, I'm like just stocking up on plastic just to get it out of the containers, and then I'll build like 3 more storage containers and like loop them in because they're just filling up. And if they fill up, we stop making the resources that are required for the fuel generators and coal generators.
Yeah,
it's like
is technically a byproduct.
Yeah.
Technically a byproduct of the oil production or oil refinery. And so, yeah, you wind up with all this. If that stops happening, if the byproduct can't go anywhere, it will stop doing the oil.
What it's doing.
And
then we run out of power.
Yes. I found another oil deposit as well.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's actually pretty close to the computer factory. So that's pretty good. We could probably use that for plastic and switch over to rubber on the other one or something like that. And because rubber is an option, we can use the rubber for, I'm sure, something.
Yeah.
Things need rubber.
Smart
Definitely.
plates.
Fuck off with your
rubber smart plates.
But yeah, it's still a good game. I can't believe. I feel like we hit that wall. I remember hitting last time. You were like researching train building technology, and it just like sort of all came flooding back to me how pointless building a train was. And
I think at that stage.
Well, at any stage. I don't understand the fucking point of the train. It doesn't do enough to make it fucking worth it, in my opinion. Like, the amount of construction and time and resources required to create a functional train system, right, literally could be replicated. I just remember on the server that I was hosting on my world, right, the train was usurped by 3 treadmills running next to one another, and that was it. And I'm like, well, okay, good. That was a big fucking waste of time. Like, we needed the stuff over to the location where the train was heading, and so that we could build the stuff for the train. And so we just built these 3 treadmills, and then when we finished that, the train, we're like, oh, the treadmills sort of just do the job. Like, what the fuck do we need the train for? It just never feels worth it. But like, yeah, I think the amount of resources and the amount of stuff that you eventually need in this game I think it will always hit a bit of a plateau, right? That's how idle games work, right? You will always hit those plateaus.
Mm-hmm.
Or the wall, as it is described in most incrementals, and
because that's the point of the game, is to get to these walls and then try to figure out like, how do I get over the wall?
Yeah.
In most idle games, it's you keep playing or you reset. In this game, it's you need to build more. Like you need to go find other. Like it's a lot more active.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Anyway, I'm still enjoying my version of Satisfactory, where I occasionally build maybe, I don't know, 3 treadmills and a smart splitter or something.
Yeah. But you still haven't found the alternate recipe for screws, right? That was the one thing we sent you off to do, and it's been 46 hours later, and you're still
how many fucking computers have I found? How many fucking computers have I found? Like dozens. It's got to be 2 dozen computers at this point. It's not on me. It's not on me that we haven't fucking gotten screws. Okay, I cannot determine where we are. You know what? I doubt it's like this. I doubt it is like this, but maybe I should go back to, vaguely know the location of a bunch of fucking computers over at the
our
level
old
1 starting
area.
spot. Yeah. Maybe I'll go and see if I can get.
It's not too far away because we've got that oil refinery there now. Sorry, not the oil refinery. The new coal area is like where
the coal area is halfway there. Yeah.
Yeah, our old oil area.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I believe that's still on track for next week to be pushed over to the early access branch. It looks like they're just sort of bug fixing and fixing crashes and all that sort of stuff still, but still having fun with it. All right, let's move on to Hell Let Loose. You still playing this?
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah, I'm still playing this. We have had some fucking cracker games. It's sort of replaced. It's my new shooter. It's currently the shooter I play the most. I guess it fills a void that I feel is left by the lack of Battlefield. I have not been tempted by anything that Modern Warfare, Warzone rather, has hinted at lately. Like nothing it's been talking about has really got me interested. The fact that the stim pack glitch may or may not be back is just, it's not quite a last straw, but it is certainly, I was very close to jumping back in, and then I read that was back, and I'm like, I just can't fucking do this. So Hell Let Loose is filling that void because I love shooters, and yeah, if I had to choose between Battle Royale or Conquest, Battlefield style Conquest, fucking hell. I mean, I don't want to invoke Sophie's choice, but shit, man, like a Meryl Streep over here.
What about Battle Royale Conquest?
Genius. How does it work? Explain how it works.
It's mini circles.
Mini circles.
Yep. So each node has its own circle that gets gradually smaller and smaller.
And the team with the player last alive.
Yeah, caps
wins the cap.
Yeah.
And then it starts over, or you just got to keep winning that cap, or it's all good. Genius.
It lasts for an hour. The circles get smaller and smaller every 5 minutes, and then at about, I don't know, 20 minutes, that's when like it shrinks completely and it resets again, and then you've got to pick your landing spots and go back in and try and capture them. And I don't know.
We'll workshop it. There's something here. There's got to be something here. So yeah, we've been playing a bunch. We've had some fucking cracker games. Just we're 100%. I was talking about it last week about how we are at a point now where our proficiency of the game is such that we can just ignore what the commander wants, and we'll just do what we think is best. And generally, it will be for the best. We will it'll be reflected in the scoreline that whatever our squad happened to be doing was the most efficient thing for our team, or at least we did it the most efficiently.
Right.
So yeah, we were playing. Me and Nate jumped into a game on Utah Beach. We were playing as the Germans. And because there was just two of us, we went recon squad. You actually jumped in. I don't know if you remember, because I'm pretty sure you were fucking blitzed. But
on Saturday, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you jumped in. And like right at the tail end, you were trying to join our team. But yeah, we were a recon squad, which is limited to 2 people, and Nate was the spotter. So it's 2 roles: spotter, sniper.
Mm-hmm.
And the spotter's got like a machine gun, some mines, some binoculars, and the ability to put up an OP. They're technically a squad lead. And the sniper has a sniper rifle, and that's it. And that was disgusting. It was honestly revolting what we got up to. It was so Utah Beach is another landing in World War II, another Western Front landing on World War II, and yeah, the Allied forces land on this beach and then try to make their way up onto the beach. It's an offensive mode, which means it's pitched as a like attacking versus defending, or it's like rush in Battlefield. So they've got the attacking side has to cap 1 point and then cap each point until they cap them all. The way they usually work, the way a lot of the offensive maps work in Hell Let Loose, the first cap is usually a gimme for the offensive team. Like the way the spawns work, it's usually impossible for the defensive team to actually get to the first cap in time to the defender. Like, barring some major fuck up from the attacking team, yeah, it's usually just not going to happen. But in this case, because they have to climb, they have to go over the beach, they have to climb the fucking, there's a hilltop overlooking the beach, because they have to do all these things. It's quite different. It's quite a bit more challenging to actually like take over the first location. But what didn't help was that me and Nate posted up about fucking 300 meters off to one side of the cap point, and I got 67 kills. And it was disgusting. I thought I'd miscounted, but I went back. I've got a recording, and it's 67 fucking kills with a sniper rifle. I died twice. What shocked me about it, right? So sniper rifle, it's a bit weird actually. The Germans get a Car 9 with a 8x, whereas the US get a Springfield with a 2x, which just seems like an odd like imbalance. It's weird that they wouldn't have identical magnification levels. I do wonder if, because we almost got counter sniped a couple of times. Like, the only way they ever came close, and I didn't get counter sniped. I didn't actually die to counter sniping. I died to a tank, and I died when they had a team actually make their way up and take us out. Like, a squad came and fucked us up. But I never got counter sniped. Every time the other snipers would try to take me out, they would miss, and that would be enough for me. Like, Nate would hear it as well, because like the way sound works. It's broad enough that the snap of a close bullet alerts, like when we're standing next to one another, alerts both of us. So he'd start scanning, He'd start scanning the beach, find the person who was shooting. I'd start like bopping up and down and baiting out the shot. He'd find them, and then I'd kill them. And the problem was I had so much more. 8 times versus 2 by. Like if it was a 4 by versus 8 by, I think I could understand that, right? Like I still don't think it'd be ideal, but at least I could understand the idea of a fucking 4 by versus 8 by. But a 2 by versus an 8 by, the amount of variance that you're looking at there is massive. Like it's a huge difference. And so I'm able to fucking laser all the way in, hold my breath, and then pull the trigger. It doesn't matter if they're shooting at me in the moment, because I've got so much more magnification. So I was able to I almost got counter sniped a couple of times, but not enough that it fucking mattered. Because I didn't die. The only times I died, they had to run up to me. That was the surprising part to me, was that if I got shot once from where I was sniping from, if I saw the hit marker come up once, I would insist that we as a squad drop everything and go do something about that. And we wouldn't fucking move. We would wait for the sniper team to come back. We would set up an OP ourselves because they didn't have an OP up or anything. Like when we came back, they were just gone. I think they went in to try to attack the flank. And I got more kills. So the first time I died was a tank. I was standing in a really dumb spot. I had, I think, 4 kills. Second time I died, I had 20 kills. Most of my kills came on that third life. Like most of them. Because I just went unmolested for the rest of, like, how long the fucking round? On offensive, I think it's 30 minutes. They've got 30 minutes to cap the first point. And so I spent 30 minutes sniping. I think the second time when we got wiped out, I was actually right on the brink of just like redeploying because I didn't have any ammo and we didn't have anyone near us to give us any ammo. So I'm like, I think I just got to redeploy. Like, I don't know how else to get fucking ammunition back, but I've used all of my fucking ammo. Like, that's how long we lasted for. And the second time was very much the same. Like, the game was nearly over and I was down to like my second last clip or some shit. It was ludicrous. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think I don't think it's balanced, right? Like, there's the Hell Let Loose is in early access. There's still some balancing to be done. They make a lot of decisions that are based on realism that I wholeheartedly disagree with, because it's not a realistic game. It's not a game like if you were, I mean, it's not fucking Battlefield, but it's also not like Armor or some shit, right? Like on the spectrum, I would say it's closer to Battlefield than, like, if we had a fucking spectrum, right? And Battlefield's all the way over here, and Armor's all the way over here. You've got like Squad a little bit in from Armor, and then like Postscriptum at basically the same place, and you've got like what was it? What was that game? The sort of squad-based tactical, play the shit out of it, whatever it's called. Anyway, then you got like fucking Red Orchestra and Hell Let Loose sitting sort of in the middle. And then, yeah, you go out towards, if anything, Red Orchestra might be the middle and Hell Let Loose might be closer to be Battlefield, and then Battlefield's out the other end. And so they make these decisions that I just don't agree with at all. Like, artillery needs to just it just needs to go. The rivers, idiotic, absolutely idiotic. I cannot believe too many fucking maps have these giant fucking opportunities for you to just die inside of 6 seconds, and it's treated like players, expert players who've played for 7,000 hours, treat it like it's a skill check, being able to fucking jump your way across a fucking river and they still fail half the time. Like, fuck that shit. It's idiotic. But yeah, the sniping, the counter sniping, they've got to have this at least comparable fucking magnification because it's just too much. I genuinely felt bad. I felt like shame when I looked at my fucking scoreline at the end. I was like, oh my God, that's revolting. Like, I would have been, you know, if you look at the personal stats and it'll tell you your nemesis and your victim, I would have been the nemesis of most of that fucking team. Yeah, stupid shit.
Yeah,
I got like four levels of sniper in one game, and it wasn't even the like I wanted to play that. You know, Recon is the only squad that's able to deploy behind enemy lines, like deep into enemy territory, and that's what I wanted to do. But unfortunately, we only had Utah Beach, so it was just a fucking snipe fest. Nate just sat. I think Nate got one kill, and it was with a mine. I don't think he shot his weapon. Like, yeah, amazing, hilarious, but wildly imbalanced. And
well, I think they do a good job of like limiting how many you can deploy. It's not like Battlefield where it's like fucking you can have a whole match where it's just snipers and it's just terrible. Like,
yeah,
all you can see is flashlights because their solution to fixing snipers was we'll put a flashlight at the end of every sniper. Right? It's not an actual flashlight, but it's like the lens glare,
the scope glint.
Yeah. Whereas this game is like, well, we'll limit it to 2 per team, and that's how you can sort of get around it. Like, there's not snipers all over the place, but there will be somewhere that you got to try and deal with. So I think there's a good balance in there, like allowing players, if they want to play that role, to jump in and do it, but also not have it just be entirely snipers everywhere and just getting pinged off whenever you try and move. So I quite prefer the method that Hell Let Loose has gone after with, even like when you're getting attacked by a sniper, you don't really know where they are either. It's not like a flashlight like on the end of the scope. So you've actually got to go out and try and find them, like listen to the shots and figure out where they're coming from and then try and go deal with it if it is an issue. So and that'd be the commander's job, right? To say like, hey, this team, you go try and take care of that sniper if they're in a good spot and try and get rid of them because they're like picking you off or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's a lot more interesting in having it set up that way, at least. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Anything else to add?
No. Just still having fun with Hell Let Loose. Still really enjoying it. Yeah, that's about it. I think we've got like a 4-stack who are constantly in. That'd be me, Dr. E3 Money, Heath, and Nate. We can, like, pretty much one of us jumps in the World War to the Greater War channel in Discord, and the other 3 will be there soon after, provided, you know, life doesn't get in the way. Always happy that means we've got 2 more slots for other people to jump in and join us to make a full squad. We generally get away with like some pretty good rando squad mates. I think they're just pleased to be in a squad with people who talk because it doesn't happen a lot. We've mastered the art of the phonetic alphabet. The squads are named after the phonetic alphabet, and but it's like a weird version of it. And so it's like Abel, Baker, Charlie, and D is dog. And we've mastered the art of being the dog squad because we're dog the boys. And it is highly entertaining. That is one of my favorite things about it, is waiting so that we can get dog squad. It's amazing. Anyway, that's about it.
All right.
Good.
Let's talk about some mobile games. Puzzle Quest 3 is out in, I think it's like an early access, something like that. I'm just trying to look now. Yeah, it's in early access, so it's available on. I'm playing it on Android at the moment. For people that don't know, Puzzle Quest is a match 3 gem game. It's built around like an RPG. I think we might have talked about the first one like a long time ago. Maybe not. Maybe we weren't even podcasting back then.
We'll definitely talk about one of the puzzle quests.
Yeah, we've talked about maybe 2. I'm not sure about the first one. I'm just looking now. It says 2007. I think we might have just missed that one. Or it could have come out on a different platform and we talked about it. Anyway, it's made by an Australian developer. So they're still working on at least this game by the looks of it. And this one is a mobile game. The other ones were available on console, and I think it was like a big DS game back in the day as well.
Yep.
Puzzle Quest has evolved more into a free-to-play mobile game for sure. It's definitely gone in a different direction. Like these sort of match 3 games have just engulfed the mobile market completely, and this is sort of no surprise that they've just sort of taken that concept and just shifted it across to mobile completely. And it's got all the gems and coins and the free-to-play tropes that you normally see in that sort of stuff. I haven't run into any barriers yet of like the game not allowing me to play it anymore, but in saying that, I haven't played a like huge amount. I'm only like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into it. It's I think it's doing some different things to the last game. I don't recall these mechanics being in there, but I could be wrong. But I'll talk about it anyway. The gems are in like this grid-based formation, and you move them around. They're all different colors, and you've got to try and match them for the same colors in order to get mana for your character player, who has a bunch of abilities and skills. And there's different colors like green, red, blue, purple, yellow, and each gem color represents the spell that you're trying to do. And so you have to connect the same color gems in order to fill up your mana bar for that specific spell you're trying to cast. So you could be trying to cast an ability that does damage to the other player or enemy, and you need to match the red gems, and so they're the ones you're going after. There's also some counterplay in there of being like having to avoid certain gems, otherwise it'll like buff up the other character that you're trying to fight up against. And the one thing that I've noticed that I think is the new mechanic is that it's 2 different things. The most gem games are like a diagonal and up and like left and right, up and down are sort of the ways that you can switch and move to match them. This one is doing it basically diagonally as well, where you can switch them basically anywhere around the initial gem that you try to move. On top of that, when you do make a match, you're then given a countdown, which is 2 seconds in the game that I'm playing. I don't know if it gets longer, but you're now able to do combos and move other gems around and try and like get these giant lines of mana into your pool, or even do like multiple attacks in different areas of the actual grid. So you don't have to necessarily focus on like, oh, I've just moved this red gem and I'm going to move another gem to try and make 4 in a row. You can then like go to a different spot and connect a completely different row or column and try and get mana that way. So it gives you it's about 2 seconds by default. I don't know if that gets longer the more you get into the game, but there's this combo system in there that I think is new. I don't remember it being in Puzzle Quest 2 or the other game that they made, Gems of War. I don't recall that being in there. So that's taking me a little bit of time to get used to, like the matching a row or matching a couple of gems and then being like, all right, what is my next move? What am I doing while my countdown sort of like, is there anything here that I can keep getting resources, or can I do another attack or anything like that? So it's a bit more engaging, I think, doing it that way. It sort of changes up that formula a little bit. Like it's definitely a matching game, but you're doing a bit more work, which is something new and interesting, I think. and it's got the RPG elements around it. You're collecting gear, so swords, helmets, boots, gloves, belts, that sort of stuff. They all have different armor properties. It looks like some of them have different spells attached to them. So I started off with a character who was a yellow-red spellcasting build, and then I got some sort of item that allowed me to do a heal as well. So now I have 3 abilities on my character. So it looks like there's some sort of system attached to that as well. But I feel like I need to play it a bit more. It hasn't really been challenging up to this point. And I think these games in particular, that is a thing they do on purpose. And it's sort of like they're trying to get you to spend a lot of time in games like this. Like they want you invested in it. They want you to spend a certain amount of hours so that once you do that, you feel that you're invested and that you can't leave. Like you get to a point where, I just want to, refresh my health pool, or like, I don't know where that point is of the game where it's going to be like, hey, you can't play anymore. Whether or not it is your character has run out of health and you need to heal them or something. Like, I just don't know where that spot is, but there's absolutely got to be something like that in the game. Because the other game I play is it Empire War? I can't even remember. But that's got like a system where you spend like tokens to play rounds, and they refill every like 10 minutes or something like that. And I don't think this game has that unless it's gonna kick in later on. Like I'm not far enough into it where it's like throwing those mechanics at me to be like, hey, you need to spend this amount of time doing this, or you need to spend these resources in order to keep playing, or something like that. And that's where the predatory sort of gameplay mechanics of these mobile games kick in. So I'm like interested to see when that does happen, how egregious it is. Because I feel like there are some games out there that do it well. Like Empires and Puzzles, I think, does it pretty good. Like I can generally play that game a couple hours every day, and like I still do play it a lot every day, and I never feel like I get to a point where like, oh, I actually want to keep playing this game, but I can't. Like I can literally play like 45 minutes to an hour for free, and then if I want to keep playing, I can use a pack that I've already got that I've never bought or anything like that. I just played it so much, I've got all this stuff. I've spent like, I don't know, maybe $10 on Empires and Puzzles. Like I've thrown them some money, and I don't feel like that's a game that is trying to take advantage of me. I know there's definitely people out there that do, and that's the people that make these companies money. But I've never felt like I've needed to spend money on it. Whereas I've played a lot of games that it feels like it's forcing you. Like if you want to keep playing this game, you've got to throw us some cash, and it's generally a stupid amount of money to do that. So it's
just looking at it on the store, it's got in-app products from $0.99 to $99.99 per item.
Yeah.
Like
there are like resources you get for like leveling up your gear, and so as I'm playing, I'm unlocking chests, and you get keys to use on these chests, and you can only have a certain amount of chests in inventory at a time. I think by default it's like 2. And so I think it's that thing of like, hey, here's a shiny chest we've given you. This one's a wooden box, but this one, look at it, it's golden. It's got diamonds on it. But you don't have the key to open that chest yet. Like, what do you want to do? You need to do something with it. Do you want to open it now? Do you want to spend gems on it? Or do you want to get rid of it and salvage it? Because you can't keep it. And I think it's doing a bunch of that sort of shit. But it hasn't gotten to that point for me yet. I can see the inner workings of what it's trying to do. It hasn't got me. But it's absolutely there. So I'll keep playing it, see how ridiculous it gets. But it's got some cool mechanics in there. I just wish that this series was in a different direction, because I think it was a really great game on consoles, at least, when it wasn't so knee deep in the mobile game mechanics.
the exploitative microtransaction economy.
Yep. All right, so that's Puzzle Quest 3. It looks like it's out on Android Early Access. I think that might be the only place you can get it right now. But keep an eye out for it because, yeah, it's, I don't know. See what other people think before you jump in there. Just don't get caught out. It's not like the old school games.
I've added it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll see how I go over the week. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always interested to try them just to see, like,
yeah,
how interesting they are. And I just, doesn't look promising at this stage.
Yeah.
All right. We got some other games here on mobile. What have you been playing?
Yeah, Call of Duty Mobile. I grabbed this because my nephew sent me this text at like, I don't know, 7 o'clock, well, not a text, like a Facebook message.
TikTok.
At 7 o'clock. Yeah, how old is, well, it's not a text, it was a bloody Facebook message or something. I don't know, a snapper chat or some sort of, message. Anyway, he sent me a Facebook message at 7 o'clock in the morning. He's like, hey, Uncle Joab. And I replied, hey, what's going on? Because, why would he be messaging this early? Why would any human message any other human before fucking 9 o'clock in the morning? So I'm like mildly concerned. Maybe something's gone wrong. And he replies with, nothing much, just winning, and sends me a fucking screenshot of Call of Duty Mobile with him having won the Battle Royale game in it. And I'm like, I'm getting flexed on before I've had my fucking breakfast? Like, fuck this little motherfucker. So I downloaded the game because I'm like, I'm gonna fucking wallop him. And I can't play the Battle Royale. So I send him a sneaky question. I'm like, how come I can't play Battle Royale? And he's like, oh, you got to get to level 7. By the way, it has the most annoying tutorialization I've experienced in a long time. It's just this person yapping, like these pop-up screens, and you got to tap in certain locations, and it makes you like buy a cosmetic and all this kind of stuff. It gives it to you for free, but like it really like drags you through. Yeah, it teaches you how
to spend money.
It feels fucking gross.
Yeah, it's a mobile game.
Yeah, you got to get to level 7, and so I'm like, okay, fair enough. Let's do it. I get to level 7. It takes me a little bit of time. I get to level 6, and he's like, "Oh, are you playing it?" And I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Add me as a friend." Add him as a friend, and yeah, we jump into a game together for the last game. You're definitely playing against bots.
Yeah,
there is zero question. Even in regular multiplayer, you're playing against bots because the difference in ability is staggering. And these are like PUBG style bots where they like you shoot them and then they'll turn very slowly and then acquire the target, and then
shoot the floor.
They're not dead by then. You might be a bot as well. Yeah. So we jump in. I got like 15 kills. I'm like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. I'm gonna fucking, let's see what fucking my little nephew got. Let's see how he fucking did. I better fucking walloped him. And no, he got 31 kills or 30 kills or something. He walloped me.
He knows where the bots spawn.
Yeah, he's been through this before. Anyway, I'm like, okay, we just won't worry about that. Anyway, so that gets us to level 7. We can jump into some Battle Royale games. And we do. And like, it's not at all like Warzone. I was expecting like a mobile version of Warzone, but it's not. It's like very arcadey. You've got so many abilities to like, so many, I guess it's on mobile. so your mobility is very high. But no, you do have like some of the fucking special moves people have. My nephew's got one where he can turn invisible, and I think the Predator would be easier to see than this fucking invisibility. It is ludicrous. You do lose your invisibility as soon as you fire, but still, it's very, very, very invisible. So I'm not wild about that. I think he still makes footsteps noises. So if you're paying attention with sound, you should be able to fucking hear him coming.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if you could get like perks, like silent step or some shit, and make that even harder. My dude had a grapple hook, and I just used that to grapple around. Usually, I used it when I was getting shot at, so I could grapple out of the way, and
right.
The bots would take way too long to reacquire a target. But yeah, we won 2 games back to back, and my little nephew was convinced we needed to go pro. That was it. 2 games back to back. Nobody wins 2 games back to back. We're gonna go pro. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll see, because I could tell that there was maybe, I don't know, 4 other actual duo squads in this game with us, and the rest of the people were bots, or the rest of the enemies were bots, and yeah, it just didn't feel like something we should do. Even in the first game we played, I had this like 1-shot sniper rifle. And my nephew was across, like we were basically on either side of the circle. We were that fucking cocky that we just like posted up on either side of this fucking circle. And we're like, hey, if they come from that direction, you shoot them. If they come from this direction, I'll shoot them. Anyway, he's like, oh, they're on me. And so I zoom in with this sniper rifle, and I'm looking over, and then like these footsteps like walk up behind me. And I'm like, can't see whoever the fuck he's talking about, but I can hear these fucking footsteps. So I turn to fucking blap him. The weird thing about the way the mobile works is it doesn't have like a ADS button and a fire button. Once you're ADS'd, you start fucking firing. So you got to aim and then ADS and fire. When you've got a sniper rifle, you fire when you let go of the ADS, when you like stop scoping.
What if you don't want to shoot?
Bang, bang, bang. I don't know what you're supposed to do in that
you
situation.
Change weapons?
So, well, I can't even really do that because of the way it sort of scopes in. So what happened was this dude walked up behind me, and I've like sort of swung around real slow because your sensitivity is lower, scoped in as well. And then I just fired into the fucking dirt because I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm not turning. Let go. Fire into the dirt because I don't know how to not shoot. And then I switched weapons, and then I fucking blapped him, and we blapped his mate, and we won the game. They were not over on my nephew at all. They were not attacking him. But yeah, so it's an interesting game, but I don't know how you would play it loads. Like I didn't feel like I wanted to. I wanted to play again because I was playing with my nephew, and that was fun. And it was entertaining as shit. Hearing his family just like, I don't know how he does it, right? I don't know how people with kids in general do it. Fucking hell. Like the fucking amount of noise, right? That he just sort of tunes out. This just doesn't exist. Like at one point, like we're in the middle of a fucking firefight. I think we were getting third partied. And all I could hear was his little sister running up, asking him what he's doing over and like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then he'd like, oh, I'm playing games with Uncle Joab. And she's like, Uncle Joab, hey, Uncle Joab. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I can't fucking hear anything. Fuck. It was pretty entertaining. She couldn't hear me tell her to shut the fuck up. I mostly just thought it. I did sort of like, fuck, under my breath a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, it just didn't feel like hyper compelling. I just think that bots make the game uninteresting to me. I don't know what it is. Like I can't escape the feeling of a win having less value if I had to fight bots, or if anyone had to fight bots. So yeah, I don't know. I bounced off it. I'll probably play it again if my nephew asks, but I probably won't play it again outside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that like certain games can do it well, but like we saw, I think Titanfall was maybe the first big one that was like, we're putting bots in our multiplayer mode, but it wasn't there to trick the player into thinking you're killing other players. It was more of a way for you to get resources quicker. And whereas in PUBG or Call of Duty, it feels like a way to trick players. Like, oh, look how good you are at this. You should keep playing. And that's the part where I don't like it, because it's just hard to tell. Like when you come up against a bot in PUBG or I've not played Call of Duty Mobile, but I assume so. Like you don't know that it's a bot, right? You just assume it's a player, and it's not until you either kill them or you get to the end of the game you realize like how many bots you've killed. Whereas in a game like Titanfall, I'm pretty sure they were like skinned differently, right? They looked different. They were more like I don't know, like minions, or I'm trying to think of that other game, Battle, the Gearbox one. That was a MOBA, but a first-person MOBA. Like you were still killing things, and they were bots, but there was a reason to doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Like when the MOBA shooter, it definitely makes a lot of sense. You know,
Battleborn.
Battleborn. That's it. Yeah, it definitely makes sense in that context. Yeah. Like, I think it goes back to what you were saying, you know, when it feels like they're trying to trick you into continuing to play because you're so good, it has the direct opposite effect on me. But they must have stats that say that it has the desired effect on most people, or on kids like my nephew.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was always the excuse the reasoning, not an excuse, that they came out with, like when PUBG introduced them, like our players were not having fun because they felt like they're dying too quickly, and that was the same sort of thing what we saw with EA's statement on Battlefield, right? But their solution was to make they didn't put bots in the game; they made the time to kill longer. Yeah. Like there's always this trying to make people that are less skilled more enjoyable, rather than maybe fixing something to do with the matchmaking, or like putting those people in the same tier of pools. But then you end up with games where it's too sweaty and
SBMM thing,
so I don't know. And then also, like, the game's got to be popular enough to be able to do that. You know, you couldn't do that in a Battlefield server today. Like, there's just not enough players to do it. I think Call of Duty has more than enough players to fix that problem. But anyway, it's an interesting problem that I don't think is getting solved very well at this stage.
Yeah.
All
right.
Cool. Anyway, anything else?
Nah, that's about it.
All right, let's move on to Rounds. What is Rounds? I've never heard of it.
Rounds is a very interesting little game that I think came out this week. It's a 2D shooter. It reminds me a little bit of Duck Game without the charm.
Right.
Where each player, it's like a 2-player shooter where you're taking on your opponent, like is 1v1 on these like sort of single screen levels that change each game over, and it's I think it's first to 5,
right?
First to 5, but there's a twist. So each round you win a round when you kill your opponent twice. and then it resets. And when it resets, whoever lost gets to draw a card. And the card they draw will change the way that they play, basically. So it's almost like a roguelike in that the cards you draw will increase your ability to succeed. So you might get all your bullets do poison damage, and so now with poison damage, like doing one, like getting one shot on an enemy is often enough to actually kill them. Like they will take damage over time until they die. And so that puts like the other player, then if they get hit, they then need to finish the fight before they die, and that's pretty interesting. Or it might be what did I have? I had all of my rounds do explosive damage, which is sort of like creates like an area effect sort of thing. And I found that so that was I lost the first round and got the explosive damage perk, and it was good, but it what it actually wound up doing was when I got the hit on, the explosive damage would do extra, and so I would take them down to like a 2 hit as opposed to a 3 hit, because they'd taken like a extra health perk at the start, and so it was good, but they were a 2 hit, and when I did it area effect damage, it didn't really do enough. So I lost, and I lost the first round and the second round. The next one I took, I chose to take bigger bullets. And so now my bullets were these giant fucking things that were extremely difficult to dodge. It gave me a lot of fucking leeway in the event that I fucked up and missed only just. And suddenly they were, my opponent was in a great deal of trouble. They were finding it really difficult to dodge me, and so I managed to fuck them up. And then what they did was, so they lost the next round, and what they took was homing bullets, which as long as the bullet can see the player, they will just chase them, which is very difficult to handle. So I lost that round. My turn to pick a new skill, or a new perk rather. I picked slow shield. So you've got fire on the left mouse button and shield on your right mouse button. And what happened was when I popped my shield, any enemies in radius would get slowed by it. And so now what I was doing was, because of the way the homing bullets arced, I found that if I closed the gap really quickly, the homing bullets couldn't track me fast enough. I'd be able to scoot underneath them. And so I beeline for them, hit my frost shield to slow them, and then I just popped them with my explosive giant bullets. And they had to pick again. They lost that round. They had to pick again. They picked poison, which was a waste. They lost the next round, and they picked. I think they picked health again or something, which was a waste. And I think the last one they picked was bullet speed, which actually did make things pretty challenging for me because it made the homing bullets actually arc a lot tighter. But it wasn't enough. And so I think what they would we're pretty new. I'm sure there are some wild combinations of cards that turn you into like a hyper god. But yeah, when you're new and you're trying to work out what each new thing does, it's a bit hard. And there are definitely some cards that feel like a complete waste. You pick from a hand of 5, but there are some that just don't seem interesting at all, and you gravitate towards the ones that do more interesting things as opposed to damage increase or reload time speed lowered or something like that. gravitate in directions of things that are interesting. So I can't fault them for picking stuff that didn't really help their strategy. You know, I was playing for strategy and they were playing to learn cards, and it makes sense to learn cards. I just can't fucking not play for strategy. You know, it's just in my nature. Played a bunch more games. It's a very interesting game. I could see it being a very fun party game, like a local area party game, like with everyone all in the same place. I could see that working, although my problem is I don't know why you would play this if you already had Duck Game.
Yeah.
All right, maybe if there was just two of you, it'd be more interesting, which is I don't know. It's a type of party, but it's not much of a party. But as soon as there's more than two people, I don't know why you wouldn't just play Duck Game. Because even rotating through this at the end of a 5-round game, I think it'd be too. It's too
much downtime.
That's it. That's what it is. You know, whereas Duck Game is just non-stop hyper action. It's a very interesting game that I think like takes on more of a fighting game feel than a shooter necessarily. But yeah, I just don't necessarily see where it fits, how it fits in the landscape. Yeah. I think it's worth checking out. If you are interested in 2D shooters, you know, if you're obsessed with Duck Game and you want something that's similar but a little bit different, then yeah, I think it's fucking like, how much is it? Fucking $8.50. So it's not going to break the bank or anything. You can sell some fucking Steam cards and probably get enough to fucking pick it up. Yeah. That's, I don't know. Yeah. It's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't love the aesthetic. I'd prefer it if you were a duck, but whatever.
Or a goose.
Yeah.
All right. That's Rounds. It's out now on Steam. Next up, we've got Totally Accurate Battlegrounds. This is a game we talked about a few years back when it went, when it was released, right? It was wasn't it a joke game?
It was like a parody of Battlegrounds. I think it was supposed to be like an advertisement for their Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
It was like an April Fool's joke, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And yeah, I think Totally Accurate Battle Simulator exited early access last week.
Right. Wow.
But I never really enjoyed that game all that much, so I didn't check it out. But I did see that this went free to play, so I had this this idea that, hey, maybe I'll be able to, get some games of it. Why don't I check it out? No. Going free to play does not appear to have helped Totally Accurate Battlegrounds all that much. You can get a pretty quick game of solos on US West, but you can't get a game of anything at all on the AU server. Just doesn't happen.
It looks like there's 8,000 people playing right now.
It's more than I expected.
Yeah. It looks like it's sort of the same thing that you're experiencing of like, this has just come out, because this graph is like dead a week ago.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's jumped up the last couple of days to to the point where it's still going up every day. So it seems to be getting word of mouth from somewhere. It's not like a huge lot. Like the day after it came out, it looks like it was at about 5,800, and today it peaked at 8,200. So I don't know. I guess it's the type of thing where you have to wait and see, give it another week or so, and find out like if it's still taken off or if it sort of just nosedives again. But yeah, what else is going on in there?
It's a very different game to what we played all that time ago when it first released as a April Fool's gag. Because now it's got all these. I think they sort of lent into the goofiness of it, and went hard on the silly aspects of it. Now you get all these like blessings. You find these blessings that are sort of like halos on the ground. They do all kinds of random shit. They like, I know, all your you've got like vampirism. You've got 15% vampirism, so any damage you do, you recover, or you can double jump, or you move faster. You can like charge forward, all this kind of stuff. When you die, you do this sort of like dodging game. You sort of get flung forward, and you got to dodge these poles. And provided you dodge the poles and make it through the closing walls, you get to respawn. But there's like 3 tiers of it. If you succeed at the first tier but not the second, you'll respawn with a curse. And the curse might be something like your view distance is greatly reduced, or you've got like double the recoil on every weapon, or something like that. If you get through the second level, you'll respawn with like just nothing. You'll just respawn. And if you get through the third level, you respawn with a blessing, which, as I already described, which is pretty nice. Although they didn't seem like they were top tier blessings or anything. So yeah, there's that. There's a load of like crazy weapons, like just crazy modifications. You can get like a fire rate muzzle attachment that sort of turns your any weapon into like just this fucking minigun that just hammers out bullets faster than anything. Or you get the ability to like dramatically reduce the recoil and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's just it's a weird game. I mean, it's always been a pretty weird game. It does, like, it takes a lot of pride in how generally goofy the physics are. And so you wind up in this situation where like you'll fire, and like if you fire an entire clip, your dude's like arms will wobble all over the place. And like a number of times I've wound up with like my gun underneath my elbow, like trapped on upside down. And when I like ADS, I'm like ADS'd upside down. And, all this kind of stuff. And like, yeah, it's goofy. It's unapologetically goofy. I find it like strangely captivating because it's annoying as shit when goofy things happen that get you killed, but it's also like kind of fun knowing that everyone else is sort of dealing with the same level of goofiness. And yeah, like I've got a lot of wins. I played it like, I don't know, 10 times.
Right.
Only once on AU servers I won that game with 6 fucking kills. There were 10 people in the server. The server won't begin a game without 10 people. I had the feeling that 2 people may have spun up 2 extra copies of the game or some shit
and just left it there.
They so right off the bat, 2 people killed themselves. Like, just ended themselves. And so it was down to 8 immediately. And I was one of them. So there was 7 other people. I killed 6 people. 1 person out of the 6 that I killed got a kill, and that was it. Which is, probably not great for those people. I don't know what the fuck they were doing, but anyway, that was pretty entertaining. Just in terms of the sheer ludicrousness, but mostly I've just been playing on US West, and yeah, I found that if I get a shotgun, I can make up for lag pretty well because of the spread of the damage. I can't use sniper rifles at all. They're absolutely pointless. And the amount of lead I need to put on automatic weapons is quite exaggerated. But other outside of that, I can generally blap away with a shotgun and get some wins. So I would say 10 games, 1 on Aussie, 9 on US. I think I've won 4 other games, maybe 5. And all of them have involved me using a shotgun at the end.
Right.
Yeah. I did have. I didn't know that they did this, but I loaded into a game and they only had pistols, and that was pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting like random thing to have happen. Like you're running around and all you've got are fucking pistols, and you're like, fuck. But the cool thing in the game is that if you pick up, you can like slot 2 pistols into one main weapon hand, and you can just run around with 2 pistols. And so you wind up in this situation where you're hunting down weapon mods to make your 2 pistols better and better and better. I'll end up with like 2 Desert Eagles in one hand, 2 Glock 18s in the other, those full auto fucking blap fests, and a taser in my secondary hand or my regular pistol slot for the goofs. And I think I got like 3rd. I came up against a guy who just had everything. He was super kitted, and he absolutely fucking belted me. He had like fire rate on his Desert Eagles, so his Desert Eagles were like spitting as fast as my fucking Glocks, and doing like 6 times the fucking damage. So yeah, I got fucking melted. I assume he won. But that was pretty entertaining. That was interesting. They just, it's a dumb game, but it's free to play. And if you can find a game, like it doesn't work all that great on the US servers, but you can find a path to victory all the same. And yeah.
Right. Do they do like squads or anything, or is it purely just?
Yeah, they got squads, they got duos, they got solos. But I don't see the point in attempting to play a squads game on my own. I don't want to fucking team up with some randos. Especially when solos are popping and I don't give a fuck about the results. It literally, I don't know, I put a video up in the Discord and you can see it doesn't tell you anything at the end. It's not like you won, here's, you unlock this, here's how many wins you've got, blah, blah, blah. It's like Vico Tori, and then it tells you how many kills you got, and that's it. And it's like you're back on the main screen, and it's done in like 4 seconds. You win, and it's like, now queue up again, dipshit. You don't you don't see anything about the other people. You don't talk to them, nothing like that.
Right.
But yeah, seeing us in US West, we could definitely play some fucking duos together. That'd be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Okay, let's keep on going. We've got Monster Train next up. You play more Monster Train?
I have been playing so much more Monster Train. Yeah. So we talked about this last week. The last Divinity DLC came out, and you were talking about this special boss, the secret boss, and all these combining units and all this shit that I had no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I'd just been playing with the new fucking race. It turns out that you gotta start Covenant. You gotta do any Covenant at all. I'm like, well, I don't want to do Covenant 1 with the new race because I don't know how the fuck they work. So I'm just gonna do basic level with the new race. Well, if you do that, you can't unlock the final boss. So you got to do at least Covenant 1. So yeah, I do not think the new race is very good. Let me say that straight up. I just don't think that they have a lot of pieces, or maybe I just don't understand the pieces that they have yet. They've done something. They rebalanced the way that the game works, right? They did all these rebalance changes, and they've relegated a lot of units that you used to see all the time to like rare status. And so you're very, very, like, you used to see stuff like Overgorger, right, with Umbra. That's the guy who fucking feeds up on little guys and gets to be way too big. You used to see him all the fucking time. And so you'd play Umbra, and basically the strategy would be if you don't have Overgorger you were guaranteed to win. You were guaranteed to win if you had Overgorger by the time you took on the first real boss. That was it. Like, if you had him before that, there was absolutely no way you could lose. Like, it didn't. Nothing else that happened in that run mattered. Now you rarely see him. Like, you used to almost be able to counter it, right? Like, you would, if that was your strategy, you would take any opportunity to like add a new unit to your deck, right? So if it meant, I don't know, every enemy had spikes 4 or multi-strike or plus 10 armor or some shit, it didn't fucking matter. You would take it, right? So you take any opportunity of that shit. If there was a path going left or right, and one of those paths had a fucking Umbra unit flag, you would go to the fucking Umbra unit flag, regardless of what else was there. It could be fucking coins, spell damage, and like fucking double something or whatever. It didn't fucking matter. You'd go there, right? And the other one might have like fucking artifacts in the artifact shop, and you'd be like, fuck, I could get so many fucking artifacts over there. Nah, didn't matter. You'd go get your fucking Umbra banner. That was it. Because that was your win condition, right? Some random fucking artifact, that's not your win condition. Your win condition is finding Overgorger before the first fucking boss. That was it. Now he's extremely rare. You just don't see him, right? If you did that, you would see him before the first boss, and you can guarantee success. And I think I spoke about it, right? Like, it got to the point where I knew what I needed to do to beat Covenant rank 25. It just felt tedious. The concept of completing it or doing it just didn't appeal. Because it was that, right? It was just hunting for Overgorger each, like, new tier of Covenant, and it didn't change anything. All that was different was I was trying to find Overgorger again, right? And now I had some fucking purge cards in my hand or some shit. It didn't really matter. So they've rejigged the rarity on a lot of those cards, and that has changed the landscape. Changed how you seek out your win conditions a lot more. But it hasn't really changed the problem that I had with Monster Train. I think the new boss is fantastic, and taking it on is fun. And I've beaten it twice now. Once in a very close match, I went all the way down to the wire, and once in a hilarious fucking floor wiping. And yeah, it hasn't changed the main complaint that I had about Monster Train, which is that at the end of the day, you can probably tell if you're going to win by the second boss. You know if you have a win condition in your hands by the second boss, and so it's almost like the rest of it is rote. They have added a couple of new bosses that change things up a little bit. There's like I had like I had what I thought was a win condition character or a hand or deck. I had that in hand with Umbra / the new guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have a beastie tank because I wasn't playing a deck that needed a beastie tank, right? I was just doing, my plan was to just do so much fucking hurt on anything that entered that it wouldn't matter. And there's a new boss that has like 8 levels of stealth. And if you come up against that boss and you don't have a tank, you will die. Like flat out. It doesn't matter what you've done, you're dead. The only reason you wouldn't be immediately dead is if you happen to have my hilarious floor wipe deck. Because in that case, literally nothing can stop you. Literally nothing can stop you. That deck could have won on Covenant rank 25 with fucking turns to spare. Let me see if I can pull up. I just can't quite remember the exact. So yeah, last week you were talking about how you can combine cards, and I've spent basically the entire week trying to work out how the fuck that works and how to combine cards into some idiotic ways. And I went down a rabbit hole, right? Because I went down a waxen rabbit hole. So the first time I beat the divine boss, the divinity, it was waxen green dudes, whatever the fuck they're called, awoken maybe. Because the trick is, right, the reason I'm attracted to waxen as a concept in this one is because with like bringing them back, like you can reform dead units, and so you have an opportunity to play a lot of stuff over and over and over again, and that means that you, like cards that buff like, or units that buff a lot have an opportunity to really fucking get some shit going, like to get some fucking units fucking hammering. So you can, like, with the Awoken, I had the dude who had sweep and quick, and he'd make everyone else quick. And so all I needed with the waxen, all I really needed to do was get some units on board that were like that benefited hugely from being quick, and then it didn't matter if they died because I could reform them the next time. And so I would have literally just stuff on the bottom floor, and then I would reform my stuff on the next floor, like all the same stuff. I would just reform that shit straight back up again. And I had like there's like a draft unit which is like double strike, and all I was doing was he has like burnout 1, and so I would make him burn out early as fast as humanly possible. I'd just dump him on a fucking thing, do some damage, he'd burn out, and then I'd just keep reforming him. But because he was quick with my dude on the bottom who was quick, I didn't need anything else, right? I buffed him so that he had extra multi-strike and extra damage, and then that with quick and sweep, and everything died really fucking fast. But the downside was that he would die the moment he was attacked. And so against bosses, when they last long enough, as soon as he died, we just go to the next level. And it wasn't like a high scoring run because I had to get to tier 3 to finish any of these fucking fights, but it didn't matter because the inevitability was I was doing so much fucking damage that everything would die. And that was that worked out pretty well. The run that fucking walloped was Hellhorned with the imps and Waxen. And Waxen, I don't even think Waxen was necessary. I was still on the Waxen train because I'd found you could get you can dissolve. There's a Waxen card that does 50 damage when it dies, right? And you can combine that with a guy who gives all your characters stealth when it dies, and you can reform that dude forever. If you put Endless on that guy, he just pops up next turn, and you put him down in front of everyone, and all your characters get stealth when he immediately dies. He will die because he's got fucking 1 health. And you'll have 11 health next time and 21 the next, but it doesn't fucking matter because you're going to fucking die. And then he does 50 damage immediately, and everyone is stealthed, so they can't take any damage, and you feel like a fucking mad genius. But the real trick, that felt cool. That was I'm on some shit here. I'm just doing mad damage to everyone who comes in every single fucking time. But no, what made this fucking work was the imp card Transcend Imp. When played, repeats all summon effects. And you've got there's another imp. I think it's the Molting Imp or the Queen's Imp. The Molting Imp does 5 damage to all characters. But if you dismantle him at this new thing they've got going, if you dismantle him, he does 15 damage to all characters when summoned. I don't know why it's ramped up. I have no idea. But it's better. The Queen's Imp, if you dismantle the Queen's Imp, instead of doing 10 damage to the front character, it does 40 damage to the front character. And the trick is you dump fucking one of those two on a Transcend Imp. So he will that counts as a summon. That counts as a summoned ability, and so you summon him, and he will do. I had a Queen's Imp on my big one, so he was doing 40 damage, and then the next time I summoned him, he was doing 40 damage twice. And by the time I got to anyone, we were doing fucking 500 fucking damage when I summoned a single fucking imp, and I hadn't even that was just summoning hard. All of my imps was 0 fucking mana at this point. It didn't there was nothing. There was literally no way I could lose. So I came up against the stealth chick, and she died before she'd even fucking entered the building. Stealth didn't matter. She's just taking damage, right? Anyone on that floor just takes fucking damage. So you don't have to worry about, what if I can't take them? No, they're dead. They're all dead. Everyone's fucking dead. The Hellhorn champion I had helped because she would throw the imps, and everyone would take 30 damage per imp thrown. So if by some miracle some enemy was on the floor and didn't die to 400 damage from a summon, I would just fill up the floor with more imps, and she would then throw those imps for another 30 damage per, so it'd be fucking 150 extra damage, and she still got to attack, and whoever else I had on the fucking floor got to attack, and it was just fucking out of control. It was ridiculous. The final one, I wound up having fucking so against the divinity, because I found an artifact that summons a random imp for you, and there's an imp that does +4 mana. I had an artifact that made all of my units cost 2 less. And so I had there's that dude there's that big Chungus demon fiend that is usually like 4 mana that takes up fucking loads of space.
That's only like 200 health, 200 damage or
no,
something like that?
No, not that's the 6 mana one. This is like the 4 mana version of the same guy.
Right.
But I put like fucking multi-strike and quick on him. And then I would just play these rage imps, and then my chick could throw them. Like the champion, the Shardtail Queen would throw all imps, so they would be cleared. And then I'd play the fucking repeat all summons. And so I wound up having, she was repeating all summons to make it so we had 99 mana. Repeating enough fucking rage, so that we had like 150 fucking rage built up, which is like 2 extra damage per hit. Enough fucking armor so that we had like 300 plus fucking armor on my front guy, so we could never take, like, there's no monster in the game that does more than fucking, I think, like 40 damage. I think 5 times 9 is 45. Yeah, there's no monster that does more than 45 fucking damage, so there was nothing stopping there. Yeah, like literally could not lose. Would have to abandon the run to fail that run. Like, you could not fucking fuck it up. Hilarious. But yeah, it does sort of bring me back to the fact that, yeah, I knew I was going to win that one. As soon as I worked out just how goofy that combo was, because I was still playing towards a generally good playstyle, which was the, my wombo combo stealth exploded dude, because that would have worked, right? It would have generally worked, because the Shardtail Queen would still be doing a lot of unblockable damage to anyone on the level, so the stealth chick still should have died to that. And the extinguish would have made it so that everyone would have fucking been stealthed and doing exploding damage. And so I think I would have gotten away with a regular run, but as soon as this transcendent thing started working, it was like, oh, right, let's see how dumb this gets. And it got very dumb, extremely dumb, but it was, yeah, very entertaining. It's just, yeah, I'm keen to keep playing to see if I can find any more combos like that.
Right.
I want to do an Umbra one. I was actually playing Umbra, the new guys. I made a mistake. I think the new race has potential as a secondary, but I think they don't have much going for them as a primary clan. Because, yeah, I just don't think the champions have what you really need from a champion to make them work. You just can't get them. If my primary analysis of Monster Train is that, like, the path to victory is to get a few units to be utterly goofy, that potential just doesn't exist with the new clan.
Yeah, I feel like because it's got a cap on it, right? There's only a certain amount of, I'm thinking of echoes.
Yeah.
Is that they call echoes that you can put out at once? There is a overflow to it, but they disappear after each round, and so you're sort of limited to like 5 echoes, and then that buffs everybody in your team, and then that's kind of that's it, right? Like, you've got to then rely on the overflow cards plus spending echoes to do spells, and if you're not getting those, then it just becomes like that stuff is being wasted, and it just relies on so many different checklists to have going at once for it to be viable. Like, you've got to have all your cards out, you've got to make sure there's cards on each level so that each level has enough echoes, and there's just so many things you've got to be doing at once to try and at least get it all out. and
to
viable.
maximize efficiency. And when you then fold in the increased amount of RNG that I think the expansion has introduced, there are too many opportunities where you just don't have the pieces you need. Like, even if you did have a path to fight a path to victory with them, you would still be relying on layer upon layer upon layer of RNG that might just never fucking come together. The amount of times that, like you said, like the amount of times that one of my runs has come unstuck because at Covenant 4, you've got all these extra cards that you just don't need and can't necessarily get rid of. And it just falls over. You just can't find a way to make it actually function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I haven't jumped in and played anymore. I've been in other things, but yeah, definitely keen to check it out. How's the second champion? Have you unlocked it yet?
Yeah, it's worse. If anything, it's fucking worse. So the first one, hang on, I gotta look it up. It's so forgettable that I played it once. I'm like, well, I'm never doing that again. What's fucking, where is it?
Having a look.
I'm looking.
Soul Sheaf? No, that's the new one. Echo, right?
Echo, yes. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, it just, like, I don't know. I don't understand what they want him to bring to the table. Like, I don't understand what he's supposed to do for your run, right? Like, man.
This looks like a tank character. Like it's summoning a bunch of tank cards. Like it's got the shell system in there. It looks like it's giving armor to friendly units. It doesn't look like a damage dealing champion.
No. Well, he's just there to slow shit down, right? Like, which, yeah, I just don't like. That's not how Monster Train works, right? Like, it's not. You're not supposed to be trying to slow shit down. You're supposed to be trying to fucking ramp shit up as much as fucking possible.
Right.
Yeah, he just, or he runs into shell, right? He does a lot of work with the shell units, but shell units take too long to actually come online. Shell is like after, like, they actually bleed away that your echoes. They bleed them and they use that to take shells. And hey, like, it's I don't understand how you could possibly want that to happen, right? Like, you're losing echoes, which is the main reason the new race even fucking exists. Like, you're spending the only resource that you've got on hand, and yeah, it just doesn't work in my opinion. So yeah, he's even worse than the other one, the Spine Chief. The Spine Chief's good.
Right.
For a lot of reap, as long as you can get reap across the board, or you can, like, keep everything on the bottom floor, you can at least have a chance at a win. But yeah, outside of that, yeah, the other guy, shit.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. That's Monster Train. DLC's out now. Check it out. Very good game.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the last game we've got here, Outriders, which is, I guess, one of the bigger games to be released this year. We've had stuff like Hitman come out, Yakuza, but it's been a pretty slow start so far. We talked about the demo a few weeks back when that was released. It's basically a third-person looter shooter. The premise around the game is that Earth has basically become a bit of a dump after climate change issues around the world, and the I guess all the governments around the world have tried to put resources together to go out and search for new planets, a la Interstellar. Guys, I just watched that recently. And so they send this group of people out called Outriders to try and find a new planet for people to live on. And they come across this place called Enoch, and it seems like a promising place, but then they discover this like anomaly storm that's going on, and they decide to try and warn this collective of governments that, you know, there's something wrong here, it's not quite right, and they end up being attacked and like killed and purged to try and be silenced from that happening. And your character ends up being wounded and during this anomaly storm, and wakes up like 30 years later from a cryostasis with these weird, strange abilities that has sort of taken form after this long form exposure from the anomaly. And then you sort of learn about like what sort of happened between then and now, and shit has gone really bad and that sort of stuff. So that's sort of the backdrop of this game. It's created by People Can Fly, who have made a bunch of great games in the past, Painkiller being one of them, like this old school harken back to like Quake, like really fast-paced shooter games. They ended up going on to work on the Gears of War series with Epic, and then also worked on Bulletstorm, which was a fun little over-the-top shooter. It wasn't, you know, it was doing some interesting things with like combo systems and grapples and things like that. It was neat. And so yeah, this is their latest game from the independent team. I think they said they're out Poland, right? So off the bat, they've basically they had a bunch of server issues the first like 2 or 3 days of this one. This is the game that was released on Game Pass as well. Sort of like one of the big first AAA releases that have come out of Game Pass, which was a bit of a surprise. And so yeah, the first 3 days had some server issues. I think that basically came down to the unexpected success the game sort of got. It was a top 5 game on Steam that first like 2 days. It was ridiculous the numbers they were pulling. To give you an idea, like this game's published by Square. Square's last big game was Marvel's Avengers. That game did 30,000, like it peaked at 30,000 players. This game got up to 125,000 players during the first like 2 or 3 days. Borderlands 3 was doing about 90,000 players on Steam when it launched. And so I think I don't know where this sort of came from, if it was it's just sort of PC players have really grown to it, or it's just like people are clamoring for a shooter, or if people just really like that demo. But I did not expect this game to sort of take off like that, that quickly or that big. And so, yeah, they had a bit of issues. They were sort of shutting down servers to try and work on some of that stuff. It didn't really affect. I didn't have any real problems at all. I think the first day I couldn't get in for like an hour or so, but then I was able to get in. And everything else seemed to be okay the next like 2 or 3 days. The second day, they basically did like a rolling restart of all their servers, and then switched them on region by region. And that seems to have, whatever they fixed or rolled out more servers, whatever, they've seemed to have fixed that, because it hasn't dropped out since then. They've disabled like crossplay on different platforms. You can crossplay using like PC, a different PC games. So if you're playing a game on Steam and Epic, you can still play that way. But if you want to play with someone else on a console, then they've disabled that for the moment because they were having issues where the games were dropping out, and so they've apparently patched that. They're waiting for it to go through certification on those platforms, so that should be up and running again soon. But yeah, it was a rough like first 3 days for that game, but it's sort of, I don't know. I guess it was expected just purely from how big this thing has taken off. So yeah, that's the sort of first thing I want to note because it's I don't know. I feel like they've copped a bit of flack for it, but also they did like an amazing job on social media, on Reddit, like listing what was going on, when they were fixing it, when things were going to be going down, when they were expected to be coming back. Like the social media team on that those sites like Discord, Reddit, Twitter were just on point. Like when you compare it to other games that I've seen that have rocky starts, just they were really nailing communication and letting people know what was going on, how to fix things. Like there was a giant Reddit thread, and it's still up there at the moment, of like, if you were running into certain issues, like here's a list of the problems that we know about, here's how we, if there's any working problems and all that sort of stuff. So they were very much on point with their social media structure, which is great. Aside from that, I haven't had any major issues or gameplay issues with the game. Nothing's really broken for me. There was like a weird stuttering problem the first couple of hours, but they patched that pretty quickly. So that seems to be fixed now. The game runs a lot better than what it was running for me during the beta period. I was not getting a great frame rate, but they've since implemented like DLSS into the game. And so I'm getting between like 144 and 90 frames most of the time. And everything's running for me on like ultra. So on PC, at least, it's running pretty great. It looks like it runs pretty smooth on consoles from what I've heard, like a solid 60 from the benchmarks that I've seen from who did it. I'm not sure if it was Digital Foundry or someone else. But that's good. And I think it's a flawed game, but at the same time, it does so many things in there that are really interesting and just fun. The combat in particular is really interesting, exciting, and it's just a blast. Like it rewards the player so much for pushing forward and being aggressive. Like there is cover in the game and you can use that, but for the most part, it is there for you to sort of, it's not really a cover-based shooter. It is more or less the cover is there in case you need a break, you need to get your health back, or you need to, there are certain like perks you can get that will give you like extra damage if you're behind cover. But the cover for the most part is a place for the enemies to sort of sit behind, and your basic combat is to try and push forward and take control of more and more area as you're going forward. Because they do this really interesting thing where your abilities are tied to how much health you are able to gain back. So if you're doing more damage, you're getting health back quicker. So I'm playing as the pyromancer who sets shit on fire. And some of my abilities that I'm rocking at the moment are the volcano rounds. So basically turns my ammo into fire bullets. And the other one I've got is this like a fuse bomb. It sets someone like as a ticking time bomb. If they lose all of their health, they then like levitate in the air and explode, and it can cause like area damage around them and that sort of thing. And so as you're using these abilities, you're getting health back by using them and doing certain things within your environment. And so it forces you as a player to not just like sit behind cover and try and pick people off, because it's a hard game. They like the difficulty, the way they handle difficulty, I think is really well done. There's some stuff that they need to fix in terms of their enemies. Stuff like the sniper. I think the sniper enemies are probably the one thing they need to focus on. They're too aimbody, I think would be the word. Like they just they follow you around. They're kind of hard to deal with if you don't have the right tools. If you're not using a sniper rifle and you're pinned between an area where you can't gain ground on them, like you've really got to think about it. Like, how do I get to them and take them out? And if there's too many enemies on the screen, that's where that kind of becomes a problem. So I think the one area that they need to fix is the snipers, and how you don't run into them a lot. At most, there's usually like 2 on the screen, but it's when they're like right up the back and it's such a struggle to get through. Like Nate and I were playing a mission last night, and we must have been in a fight for about 25 minutes trying to deal with this like one arena, and the snipers were just causing us so many issues. But the way the combat, like, so it forces you to really be engaged with what's going on. And then they do a really interesting thing with the difficulty of the world tier system, which we've seen in games like The Division. Diablo is another a game that uses it, but here it's always like pushing you to try and make the game harder. By having this second layer of experience, and as you build it up, you then get better loot and better gear, and you start getting better drops, and the drops that are higher tiered have different types of mods for each weapons, and the mods change the way your character behaves and the things they can do. And so you end up experimenting a lot with all these things that they're dropping, and because you're getting more powerful and more powerful, the game is getting it's like this weird like tug of war where it gets harder, but then it gets progressively easier, and then it throws you into the next difficulty, and then the enemies are harder again, but they're throwing different types of enemies at you. They start behaving differently. Like we were playing last night or a couple nights back, and they were doing different types of attack patterns on us, and they were like you'd kill them, the bigger elites, they'd respawn and they'd be not as strong, but like a lower tiered type of enemy. And so they're doing I think the actual difficulty scaling is really great. And you can sort of flick between the two. So if you get to a point where you feel like the game is too easy, it's too hard, you can scale it back to, world tier. I'm playing on world tier 8 at the moment. You can scale it back and try and get past that hurdle, and then just bump it up again. And you get to a point in the game with the difficulty where you're basically, it's like an experience bar, but every time you die on some of the higher difficulties, it like knocks you back a little bit of experience. So it's not the type of thing where you're just gaining experience for the heck of it. You're not just like getting it and eventually you can turn up to next difficulty. You've actually got to play it well and survive and not die and be better at the game. And so I think that's an interesting way of like not just getting not just killing a bunch of things and being like, well, I can bump it up now because I've done that. It's like, no, you need to be able to like prove to us that you can outlast this stuff and make sure you got the right gear and the right mods and all that sort of thing. So I think there's like 15 or 16. I don't know. There's a bunch of different world tiers, and they give you better loot. They make the enemies harder, and they allow you to wear higher level gear as well. So once you start bumping that up, that's really I've just found that whole system really fascinating, being able to like it makes the game really tough and challenging. And when you approach certain arenas, because that is what predominantly the game is these arena based corridors, that's when you need to stop and think about, like, how do I approach this? Like, who am I dealing with first? Where am I getting to behind cover to try and get to the next person and push forward? And it forces you to like think about what's going on in the game. So yeah, I've enjoyed that part of it. You're being really quiet. The abilities and
I'm just like, look, I don't want to rain on your parade yet.
yeah. What else? I guess talk about the weapons as well. The one thing I really think is super fascinating about the game is the way it handles its weapons and the mods on the weapons. So it's like it's all graded tier loot. It's like commons, rares, blues, greens, purples, legendaries are like orange, and each as you get into like purples and blues and oranges and that sort of thing, they've got these mods on there, and the mods are these different types of abilities or perks that you get. And there's tons of them. There's, I think, like, I don't know, I've not unlocked them all, and there's got to be at least 250, maybe 300 of them. And so you dismantle weapons in the game, and every time you dismantle them, you get some resources, whether it's like leather or iron. You also get shards, which allows you to level up your weapons and gear. And then you also get like unlocks for the mods. So every time you dismantle something, you get that mod and you can use it on a different gun. And I think that's really cool because that allows you to, like, how many times have you play a game or a looter shooter and you find something that's really cool, but you don't want to get rid of it because the next weapon you've got is doing more damage, but you really like this specific ability or perk it's doing, and it's like you never find that thing again. Like, you play for 25 hours and that thing is gone. Their solution in Outriders is to give you that perk, and then you can slap it onto a free slot on one of those guns, and then sort of like take it with you. And so, for instance, I had this gun that I found, and it had an ability attached to it, which was a tier 1 mod. They're separated into 3 tiers, and the tier 1 mod was like, it slows enemies down for 8 seconds, and that refreshes every, I think it was 4 seconds or so, or 8 seconds, I can't remember. And so I switched that mod out for a freezing mod, which had a 4-second cooldown, so it would freeze people every 4 seconds, and that was a tier 2 mod, and it was also running like another tier 2 mod. And so you can go in there and get rid of some of the mods that it's got on the gun, swap them out with something you want to try and use, or something that you're not using, because there are instances where it'll give you a perk that just doesn't benefit you as the character you're playing. And so you can ditch that and swap it in for something that you want to have fun with. You can't do it for all of the weapon mods. You don't do it for one, but that's the aspect of the loot game. So I think what it does with the giving players control over what they can do with these guns, it's like an interesting transmog that we've seen in like Diablo or Warcraft has that sort of system. But rather than re-rolling stats, you're re-rolling like the abilities it gives you, and sort of being like, I want a perk like this because that sounds really cool. So yeah, been having a lot of fun with the weapons and the mods. I got a legendary that I'm using at the moment that every time I kill somebody, it creates a bubble, and I shoot the bubble, and it does like 3,000 or 4,000 damage in an AoE around them. And then also, like, the second mod that I've got is like, it just sets like people on lightning every time I shoot for like 1 second. Fucking lightning bolts just shoot out everywhere. And then I've got my shotgun that whenever I kill somebody with it, the killing blow does an explosion depending on how many enemies are around it, for like, I think it's like 5,000 multiplied by how many enemies. And so I just fucking whip that out sometimes, and I'll just shoot one thing and everything dies on the screen. And like, it's just, I think the weapon system is really interesting and cool. The way they allow you to just tinker with it and mess around with it. The UI I think is pretty decent. There's like quick marking tools where you can either right click on stuff you want to get rid of or sell, and then go over to a vendor and just quickly press a button. Everything deletes. They've got little colored icons on the screen where you can just click them, and that'll quickly mark those specific rarities. That was something that I saw in Diablo when I played a couple weeks back, but Diablo was more or less like you needed to go to the vendor and then click on the button and mark it and then get rid of it, where this is just in the UI interface. It's built in. And having played like Destiny recently as well, like that sort of stuff is super handy because it takes, you don't have to go through each individual weapon and be like, I want to mark all this stuff and mark all my gloves and all my helmets and all that sort of thing. You just click a button and easily. So the UI stuff in that is pretty cool. And what else is there? The abilities. Like I'm playing as a pyromancer at the moment, which is the one that we were playing in the demo. Progression carries across on that. And so I picked up where we left off last time. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like I think it's in terms of the look of the abilities, and I said this last time, when you're playing these types of games like action shooter games like Destiny or The Division and things like that, I think this does the best job of like making you feel like a fucking badass when the abilities go off. There's a gun I had that was freezing people. I think it's the best freezing effect I've seen in a video game. Like, full stop. It looks so slick. The way that you freeze somebody and they slowly turn to ice, and then you can just shoot them and they explode, and it just looks so good. And there's just like an array of them. There's setting people on fire and the way they like internally combust, and just all of the stuff that I've played with in the ability trees just looks so cool. Like Nate's playing as a tank that just teleports everywhere and creates this giant explosion when he lands. And that stuff looks really awesome. And I'm sort of just interested in going in and trying some of these other abilities and looking at how they work. There's one that I use, which is Ash. It sort of freezes people. It turns them like to dust. It's the pyromancer sort of like freezing ability. It's just I think in terms of the way they make those abilities look, it's some of the best that I've seen in a action shooter like this. Compare it to like Destiny. I don't like what they do in that game. Like throwing fucking glowy orbs just looks so silly. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. What else was there?
I'm going to jump in.
Sure.
Because that is the only thing I like about this game. The skills. The skills and the look of them and the feel of them is the only thing I like about this game. I don't like the shooting. I find the shooting to be unbelievably dull, although, to be fair, I don't have anywhere near the quality of loot that you have. I just find anytime I have to shoot a gun, it feels like shit. The feedback on the weapons is so bad, and I don't understand why, because it's not like People Can Fly haven't got a legacy in shooters. They've made shooters a lot of fucking shooters. So why do the guns feel as bad as they do in this? I don't understand. Like, it's crazy to me the amount of times that you'll fucking line someone up and it will, like, it's a cover-based shooter, and it seems like the only people who benefit from fucking cover are the fucking enemies. Yeah. Because anytime I line someone up, right, and all I can see is like just the touch of their head, I will shoot and it'll hit the fucking top of the fucking cover or some shit, as opposed to blapping their fucking brains out, which drives me bananas. I cannot stress enough how aggravating it is to line someone up, especially I'm playing on Xbox. The amount of time it takes me to line someone up and then pull the trigger, and you know how it is. Like, I've seen people talk about how they, I've heard people talk about how they like the AI in this, but I don't think it's fucking good. It is like you were saying about the snipers, but everything in this game is fucking supernaturally aware of shit. They will always take cover the moment you aim at them, and you're fucking your only job then is to wait for them to fucking pop their head up.
Well, no, you're supposed to push. Like I said, it's the game. It's not a cover-based shooter. There's cover there.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. The only reason I push is because the skills provide me with the opportunity and the means and the incentive to do it, right? If you sit back and use your fucking guns, right, in this shooter game, then all you do is have a fucking dull fucking time waiting for the shitty AI to fucking to exploit it by aiming far enough away for them to actually, because that's what happens, right? They've fallen into the classic cover-based shooter trap, where as soon as you aim far enough away, the AI somehow knows and they'll pop their head up, and then you just snap back and fucking pop them in the brain, right? It is a Gears of War fucking classic. I've hated it forever in Gears of War, and I hate it in this. It's just a shitty way to fucking play. Anyway, running through this.
You're as a trickster, right?
Yeah, I'm playing as trickster. I have stopped using anything other than the shotgun. I only use the shotgun, and I only use the shotgun when my skills are on cooldown. I barely even need to do that because I'm at level 8 or something, and I have got it to a point. I've literally just been speccing into lowering skill cooldowns, and I have my shotgun. The other weapon I take. I've got an assault rifle that I don't use at all, and all it does is the only reason I have it is because it lowers this skill cooldown on my movement ability, and that is it. So literally all I do in the game is focus on pursuing my ability to increase my my play with the skills. I don't do anything to do with the weapons or anything. I find the loot unbelievably tedious. I understand that I'm 20 levels behind you guys. That's listening to you talk about it is like listening to you talk about a completely fucking different game to what I've played. Because I refused to pay $90 for this game. I didn't like what I played at the demo, and I've got absolutely no reason to think that I would enjoy it. Now that I wasn't going to be able to play it at the same time as you because of family commitments. So, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to play alongside you guys. My only hope was that perhaps, they did advertise that it would have full crossplay co-op from day one, but they failed to fucking deliver that shit. So I sit there on the fucking Xbox playing on my own, a game that I don't fucking like, just trying to get levels up so that I can actually get to some points through this tedious as fuck, boring fucking story, where when we are able to play together at some unknown fucking point, perhaps you guys won't be bored of it by then, and then we can fucking cross-play together. When I do that, I'll have to do a Discord workaround because Xbox's Discord integration is still trash tier. So, I'll have to have fucking earbuds in and my headphones on, or actually, to be frank, I haven't been plugging the sound in on the game because I don't see what it adds to it. I don't need sound the way I'm playing. You're talking about playing at higher world tiers and how you find that fascinating, how you find all the gear fascinating and all that kind of shit. I'm playing a world tier 1 because I did some tests, and you get about 5% more XP per world tier, which is not a meaningful amount.
But the game doesn't rely on XP. It doesn't, there's XP, but it's more, you're getting better loot.
But what the fuck am I doing with better loot? Right?
Getting
what the fuck am I doing
better
with
abilities
better
and
what the fuck am I doing with better loot at level 5 when I won't be able to use that shit at level fucking 20? Right?
But you can. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you said you're talking about the upgrades and stuff and upgrading all these items and stuff, but it doesn't fucking matter, right? Because all I'll do is bump the fucking, when we can finally fucking play together, I'll bump it up to world tier or whatever, and I'll play and get better loot that way. Like, why would it, like what? I'm not going to drag these fucking weapons. Like I said, I'm literally using these weapons to lower my skill cooldowns because the only way I enjoy playing is by using the skills as fast as humanly possible. And if I've charted out a path through my skill tiers, through the whatever the fuck it is, skill system or class system, or whatever, I've charted out a path where I can get my skills down. I can get my fucking that big swipe I do. If I get deep enough into this tree, I'll be able to do it twice immediately. So I can do it one way and turn around and do it the other way and just fucking murder everything. Why wouldn't I?
There's stuff in like when you get gear and weapons, there's stuff that gives you like perks that'll allow you to do that. Like I've got abilities and perks that allow me to use my spells multiple times, not just my weapons, but like all the other stuff in the inventory, your helmets and shoes and all that sort of shit. So it's not just the skill tree that's giving you those unlocks, it's the mods.
Stuff.
Because you're playing on the easiest mode the game has. You should be bumping it up to normal.
But why?
Because that's how you get better gear. It literally says on the screen.
You can still get better gear by buying it at vendors.
No, the vendor stuff is crap.
No, the vendor stuff is how I've got what I've got at the moment.
Because you're playing on the easiest difficulty. You need to bump it up to like normal or hard or something.
But you're not listening to me. Why would I bump it up to a harder difficulty, right? If all it will do is make it harder for me to get levels. Like what point?
It doesn't make it harder for you to get levels.
You're talking about how you're trying to work out how you're going to get to a fucking... Like, you played a fucking one level for half an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And I play...
The world tier is separate to your experience level.
As hard as I can, right? And I run through the entire level all the way to the end of the kill chamber so that I've spawned all the enemies. And then I turn around and I swipe them so that they're dead. And then I move on to the next terrible fucking cutscene. Like... That's how I'm playing it. I'm fucking powering through this shit. And when I do that, I get half a level worth of fucking XP and easy peasy. Like, instead of taking half an hour to get through a level, I go through it in fucking 30 seconds and I got all the fucking 20% less XP than what you would have done. And okay, cool. Fair enough. On to the next one. Moving on.
But then I got cool guns out of it or boots. You got like a bunch of commons.
But what do I need cool guns for if I'm never using guns?
Because I'm telling you, it's not just guns. It's giving you stuff for your abilities and perks.
For skills I'm using murder everything in one shot.
Right, but you're playing the game wrong then. Like you're playing it, you're not even playing it properly, and you're complaining about the way the game plays because you're not playing it properly. It's like going to a soccer game and like being like, I don't want to use my feet. I'm just going to headbutt it every single time.
It's not like that at all.
It is.
We're playing for different reasons. You're playing to have fun and get loot.
I'm playing to headbutt.
Because I started fucking 20 levels behind you cunts, and I have to catch up somehow, right? And when I try to join you guys, I can't do it. So my only way of playing is watching YouTubes, right, on one screen.
Why can't you do it?
What? Why can't I do it?
Isn't there level scaling? Yeah.
The fucking crossplay is broken.
Oh, no, right. I thought you meant a different way. Because I've been playing with Nate, and he was like 10 levels above me.
No, the crossplay is broken, so I can't fucking play with you guys. So I play
PC version.
Terrible fucking game. So I'm not paying $90 for this fucking game. That's insane. Especially not when it's free on Game Pass. So I get to wait, play it solo, and what are my options? Not to mention, everyone talks about how this game is specifically balanced for multiplayer. And the boss fights are awful in solo. At your highest world tier, they are way too hard because they're balanced for co-op.
I've played most of this game solo. I don't think
so.
That's
Why
hard.
would I do that? I've played all of this game solo, and I don't think it's too hard either.
Yeah, but you're playing on baby mode.
But why would I play it any higher when I am progressing at a reasonable rate in a manner that will allow me to theoretically catch up to you and then play with you at an appropriate level? Why would I do it any other way?
Shit guns and you won't do any damage, and it'll just scale it, make it harder.
Damage because my skills, I can do my fucking skills as fast as humanly possible. All I do is skill shit. I skill murder everything. That's the thing. Like, will we though? Like, my main concern, right? My big fears for this game are the only reason it is as popular as it is because it is offering fucking water to a person who's walked through the desert, right? There are no other fucking games out, and people are fucking begging for anything else. And so they will latch on to the first thing that shows up, which might be some of the shittiest sci-fi I've ever experienced, attached to a game with bad shooting from a team that should be better and some admittedly excellent skills. Because, hey, at least it's fun in co-op, right? And that appears to be most of the fun that you and Nate are having is in co-op. When you guys talk about how you're having fun, when you guys talk about how you've had fun with the game, you're talking about how you're playing in co-op, and you're having fun playing together. And I know Nate and you are both hyper aware of the concept that some games are just fun because they're in co-op, and I don't believe that it is just fun because it is in co-op. I do think that you have gear. It has done a looter shooter in a way that has made gear somewhat interesting. However, there is absolutely no way that would be fun for me because I'm playing on my fucking own 20 levels behind you guys, and the only thing that I can do is attempt to catch up in time for them to eventually deploy the thing they said would be there on day one. So I'm at a loss as to what else I would do, because there is no reason for me to bump the fucking world tiers up to the max level. There's no reason for me to do it. All it will do is make the game more tedious. And I'm not interested in playing a game that's more tedious. You know, like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you need to go play like Spellbreak. There you go. That's your game.
Why?
Because you can just cast as many fucking spells as you want in a battle royale.
That's what you reckon. You reckon? See, this is it, right? I'm engaging with the gear system to increase the one part of the game that I enjoy, and you're like, well, you should go play another game.
Well, because I just don't think you like these types of games, maybe, at the end of the day. Yeah. Except for Destiny. You love Destiny for some reason. I don't know why. It's
Anthem, right? And I love to Anthem,
Anthem.
Right. At this point, how many looter shooters are there?
There's, I think, 4 good ones. What is there? There's like Borderlands and Division.
Air quotes, 2 of them. Oh, and I liked Borderlands, didn't I?
Yeah. So but you hated Division because once again you got left behind.
Like, how is that on me? the game's inability to create a functional catch-up system, I feel like that one is on.
There's catch-up.
The game. There's not if you can't actually play with one another. Yeah.
Well, when we do get in there, there's some good because I've played most of this game by myself. The entire story. I jumped in, I think the first or second night, might have been the second day, with Nate, and he was much further than me. He was like 3 or 4 more areas in front. So he was like, I don't know, 8 levels above me or something like that. And then when I went back into my game, you can, and we've talked about this a bunch of like playing co-op games and like your progress not being saved, or like jumping into somebody else's world and going back into yours and being like, well, none of the stuff that I did mattered. It carries all of your stuff across with you, so all the weapons you got, all that sort of jazz. And it does like story points at the main menu, so you can click on either continue story point or like go back to an area. So once I was finished with Nate's game, it put me back into where Nate and I were. And I was like, oh, okay, how do I go back? And so I went back to the main menu, clicked the story point part, and went back to the area that I was at. And it's like, it gives you a list of the missions that you've completed. And then it's like question marks on all the ones that you haven't done. And so you can click on the mission that you're up to and then jump back into it. And it'll overwrite your save to go back to that area. I think it's a more elegant way of handling the co-op progression, that especially games. The one that comes to mind for me is like Far Cry is the main one, where it's like you're doing all this stuff and you want to go in and play your own game and you don't have anything. Like it's all, you've been basically helping them complete their game. Whereas in this, I feel like, oh, I got a bunch of cool loot. Because the way the tier system was working, I wasn't really sure at the start like how that works, so I switched it off once it got to a certain point, and then I jumped into Nate's game, and Nate was like world tier 8 or something, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like dudes were like behaving differently, and like guys were like, anyway, and so then I went back into my game once I got a some idea of how it worked, and I started bumping my world tier up and playing through it. And like he came into my game last night, I was just he just joined it without asking. He just kind of jumped in. I was like, oh, there's Nate, and so we jumped into Discord and played for like an hour or so, and just got like our asses handed to us by some of these fights. Like they just get really tough, and it's been a while since I've had like a shooter like that where I felt like it's really challenging. So I don't know. I think that the last one might have been like The Division, where it did its world tier system, and you could really bump up the difficulty, while you still feel like you're getting something out of it. Whereas here, it's just the loot you're getting, and the mods that you're getting out of it, are really cool. Because I'm pretty close to the level cap. I think it's 30, and I might even be on 30, or I could be 28 or something like that. So the next step is just like bumping that world tier up and getting the legendary, and then start like unlocking the mods for that. Because I've only got 4 or 5 legendaries so far the entire game that have dropped. But the actual perks that come with that stuff seem really cool. So I'm got to work my way through it. Have I finished it?
Story.
I'm still going.
Talking about like some expedition shit or whatever. Like,
yeah, I think there's end game content. I don't know what it is.
I thought they were talking about how it's not going to be a game as a service. It's a self-contained whole thing or whatever. And, right.
Yeah. I just don't think they're going to be like, hey, in next week we're releasing a new raid, or like it's not going to be a thing where they update. They might have expansions or something like that. Or maybe they jump in and add world tiers, but I don't think it's the type of game where they're going to be like every month there's a new thing they're injecting into the game. I mean, they might, just from the success it's had, because it seems like it's doing pretty well, and I guess we see how much that sort of sticks. But I don't think it's going down the Destiny route or like the Division, where it's just constant updates all the time. Seems a bit more like People Can Fly seem a bit more old school in their, like, especially you look at the games they've made, and this feels like one of those games where it's a mix between a looter shooter live service game, but it's not really over the edge yet. You're not managing weird currencies and anything like that. It's pretty straightforward. So anyway, I'm having fun with it. Like, it's definitely got problems. Like there's stuff they need to address with fixing UI bugs and that sort of thing. But I'm just enjoying. I'm just having fun with the combat. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it so far. I'll definitely keep still playing it as I once you figure out how to get to our levels.
Well, apparently I'm not allowed to do it my way. Apparently, I got to slog through the hardest fucking.
I feel like you'll walk in and be like, "Look at my spells," and then get one shot or two shot. Generally, that's how it works, and then be like, yeah, this ain't goal."
I'm gonna have no survivability at all, like
Yeah.
zero survivability, because I'm gonna be walking around in the pants that I got fucking 6 levels ago, because it still gives me reduced 2.5 seconds on my fucking temporal bubble or whatever the fuck it is. But I figure with the world tier that you guys are at, I'll get loot pretty quick and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'd just like to be able to fucking play with my friends as promised before the launch, but I can't. So cool.
You could, but you got the wrong version.
Not paying.
That's on you.
For a game I don't want to play.
It sounds like Joab needs some donation money.
Get the fuck out of here.
Towards his games bank. You got to sell some more Steam cards.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? I wasted them all on what was it?
I haven't looked at I haven't watched anybody streaming this game or weird builds people are doing. I feel like I've stacked into the wrong tier. I don't know if that's what you call them, but there's each character has 3 different tiers you can stack into. I feel like I've stacked into the one where I just sort of just went, this is the fucking top one. And I'm like, maybe I should go for the middle one. Because that is, to me, it sounds like a spell build. Like it's doing more. Because I got to the end of it just before we started recording, and I was like, I'm not really playing it this way. Maybe I should go to this one. So I'm going to go respec and go into the spell build. Because I've got this, I'm using a lot of spells. I got this volcano rounds, which is basically sets your ammo on fire, and then you shoot, and it magnetizes their bullets onto enemies, and it sets them on fire. And it does a full clip of whatever you're using. And so I've got an assault rifle that's got 85 rounds or something like that. And once that clip is out, then it goes back to normal bullets. But I've got a mod on my gun where if I kill somebody and there's less than 35% of my ammo in the clip, then it automatically refills that entire clip. And so I just use this thing all the time because it's never got a cooldown. Once everything's dead, then it cools down and I go to the next area. But yeah, so I'm kind of got to look into weird builds people are doing and that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, as I said, I'm enjoying it. It's a very flawed game, but I think they're onto something for their first sort of stab at this game.
Why is it a shooter?
What do you want it to be? A card game?
Fucking third person, I don't know, magic beat 'em up, right?
It's a shooting. The shooting is fun. You're not using the shooting. That's your problem.
You know the shooting is trash.
It's not trash.
You know it's trash.
You should see the shit Nate and I are getting up to in our shooting. It's disgusting.
So why couldn't it be you got fucking your punch lightning or something? You know, why is it a shooter when the shooting?
I have a sniper rifle that behaves like an automatic fucking machine gun. It is stupid. That's why.
That doesn't change anything. That doesn't make the shooting better. Just because you've got fun gear doesn't make the shooting better. That doesn't change the fucking nature of the shooting. It just fucking alters your fucking initial impression of it. It doesn't make it function better. It's just they've made a way for their trash to be fun. My fucking little nephew ran around with a fucking stick he got out of the fucking garden, right? That didn't make it into a fucking broomstick, but he still thought he was fucking Harry Potter. This, you have made it fun, but that doesn't make it fun. Why is it a shooter? It just doesn't make sense.
I haven't made it fun. I just think you're playing it wrong. Like you said before, you were trying to shoot people that were sitting behind cover and peek their head off. But the game incentivizes you to push forward and use your abilities and try and engage with them.
Yeah, use your abilities and engage with them, not shoot them.
No, you have to shoot them to get health back. That's how it works.
You don't have to. You can fucking murder them with your fucking abilities. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? They fucking die with like the part of it that involves shooting doesn't need to involve shooting. This is what I'm saying, right? Like, why is it a shooter? The shooting has literally like brings nothing to the table. The parts that you enjoy or find interesting and fun aren't shooting, they're looting. They're loot related or they're mechanic related that isn't involving ADS, left trigger, fucking right trigger, or right mouse button, left mouse button. Those parts aren't fun. That part is not interesting. It's bad. And you're like, oh, yeah, don't sit back and shoot. In any game where shooting is fun, sitting back and shooting is also fun. But they know it's not fun, and they have created a game where shooting isn't fun.
No, but okay. I think you're wrong. I think the shooting is fine.
Fine.
I'm not saying the shooting.
Rousing review.
You need to get up close and shoot them, not sitting behind a cover wall and like trying to shoot the top of their head. Like
you are latching on to one thing that I use to describe why I know the shooting's bad, right?
That sounds like your aim is bad.
Fuck, get the fuck out of here. But that is divorce. This is fucking The Witcher 3 has bad combat all over again, right? And you are everyone on YouTube who has ever been wrong.
Yeah, but I got video. I got a video of cool shit happening when I shoot, whereas you've got a video of like shooting and the like pixel hair is off to the left and you're hitting like a wall because you little fucking controller thumbs can't do it. You need the mouse and keyboard adapter on the Xbox.
You don't need one on the Xbox One, actually. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
You just do that then.
Just fucking cheat my way to victory.
Can you actually do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
It natively supports mouse and keyboard.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Anyway.
Yep. All right. Well,
yeah.
Keep playing it. I'll see what the end game is about. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm pretty close. I don't know. Although the map is zoomed out again and there's more fucking clouds, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how far this thing goes. All right. Anyway, let's move on. It's getting late. That was Outriders, out now on everything.
Yep.
News.
Not crossplay. Not actually crossplay. Even though it says it's crossplay, it's not crossplay.
Well, I mean, it's got it. They just you get kicked out if you're on a.
I think I've asked this question.
Bad console game.
If it has something but it doesn't work, does it really have it? No.
Like you're shooting.
Like your fucking concept of whether or not the shooting is good. Anyway.
All right, let's go. News time. Not a whole lot here. Pretty slow week, but we got a few things. E3 is happening this year. There was some, I guess, rumors going around a couple weeks back where E3 might have been a digital event that had some form of tiered, maybe paid paywall stuff. The ESA quickly came out and said that is not true, that E3 would be a free event for everybody. And today they announced that it is going ahead in June with the support of Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and Koch Media, all taking part. The ones that are noticeably not there are Sony and EA once again.
I don't know why it just fucking popped into my head, but that fucking video Johnny Bravo put on our Discord of jumping, the cinematics for jumping in Outriders. You can't even fucking jump without a fucking cinematic. Oh my god!
No, but that's getting you to a different. It's hiding loading screens. That's nitpicking.
It's a trash game.
It's hiding loading screens, you dickhead. All right, so E3 is going ahead. They they haven't said anything about a paid tiered system. I guess the rumor was that they were going to be teaming up with like Nvidia and doing some sort of GeForce Now experience, but they knocked that back and said that's not true. So, what are your sort of initial thoughts on this? It's going to be a like, are we going to see press conferences? Are we going to see like Xbox and Bethesda do a thing this year, and maybe like Warner Brothers was rumored to do one last year and that disappeared. Ubisoft.
I think last year was an anomaly. I think a lot of things didn't happen because logistically it was a fucking nightmare. Like logistically, keeping everyone safe was far too challenging. I do not think that is going to be the case this year. Theoretically, by June, everyone in America will have had fucking 15 vaccines. Most everyone in America will have 15 vaccines, and I'm sure by June, the Australian federal government will have managed to vaccinate maybe 0.5% of us. So, maybe they'll have gotten, I don't know, fucking 250,000.
Yeah. So your problem was you fucked up and played it too safe, whereas we just let shit go rampant, and now everyone gets a shot.
Australia played it right on World Tier 1, right? And it was sort of easy mode. And now they don't have the loot they need in the form of vaccines.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
they got
America
the common one.
Is playing on fucking World Tier 15, and they've got vaccines out the wazoo. It's all coming together. Anyway, I think that from a safety perspective, logistically, this year, the opportunity to do some stuff will be far more viable, and I really do hope that we get the opportunity to, do some press hands-on stuff. We won't be flying anywhere out of Australia, but hopefully, last year we'll have presented opportunities and methods for demonstrating remotely, or if not remotely, at least semi-remotely at a agreed upon location. And I think with the lineup that they're bringing to this E3, Nintendo, Xbox, Xbox, knowing
it's
now
most
that
of the
Xbox,
big hitters, right?
Yeah. It's basically just missing Sony, and I think Sony were already sort of bowing out. So
Sony bowed out 2 years back, right? They would.
Yeah, exactly. I think this could be good. I'm excited for what they put together. Even if we don't get a chance to go hands-on with a bunch of stuff, or they don't do press days in Australia, I still think it'll be a good opportunity to get a good showcase for games on. And I think we all need something to look forward to.
I feel like this year will be an interesting sort of experiment as to how this works digitally. And then next year is the how do we go back to what E3 was? And because I don't know, I would assume by next year we're going to be pretty safe in terms of, unless half of us turn into zombies or there's some stupid strain that doesn't work with this vaccine. But at that stage, like, you'd think that we'd have most of it under control. Like the US is looking at implementing some sort of like passport system for whether or not you got vaccinated. Like at the moment, they literally give you like a piece of paper, like piece of cardboard with your name and date of birth and when you got the vaccine and where you got it from and that sort of thing, which some places are accepting to get in, but that's easily, like, you can forge that, right? It ain't hard. And so having some sort of proper system in place where they could say, hey, have you been vaccinated? And then have that go off to a database, then you could see like some of these companies doing hands-on events where they could check your name up against some sort of database that says you got it, and then you can come to our event now, you've been vaccinated, blah, blah, blah.
I'm loath to praise the government at any time, but I think the New South Wales government has done a fucking phenomenal job of streamlining our ability to check in to locations. But I've got an app on my phone that has my driver's license on it. It has a QR scanner in it that I scan like a QR code at a venue, and then I press check in, and that's it. And I'm checked in on the database. There is absolutely no reason why. And ethical concerns notwithstanding to this sort of thing, but there is absolutely no reason why they couldn't also put in a vaccination record into that app, where when I check in, it green lights me as having the vaccine or whatever.
Yeah,
like that system would work. Like I said, ethical concerns about active tracking of vaccinations.
Yeah, and who's got that data and
how long we have to check in locations for and stuff. Like I don't want to roll down a fucking hole where 3 years from now I have to fucking show my phone when I show up to a fucking restaurant or some shit.
Yeah.
So,
look, my phone, it's green. It means it's good.
But yeah. Not that they wouldn't be able to, like, if I take my phone anywhere, they know where I am at all times as it is. So I guess it's all a bit of a moot point. It's just active knowledge about being tracked to a passive ignorance.
Yeah, because I feel like mine, I don't even know where my app is anymore. Here it is. Like the one we've got, we don't have like check-in systems. It's sort of just using your phone as a, I guess, like a Bluetooth device. And if you come in contact with anybody that has had COVID, then it sends a notification saying, hey, you were in this area with potential, something's happened here. And so that's when it notifies you. But I haven't looked at that for ages.
That is
that's what notified me.
We've got the manual version of that.
Yeah.
That is based on the Google and Apple API that the federal government here failed to actually implement correctly and just sort of shit the bed in their version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I think digital event this year for E3 is going to be, one to see how low key some of these companies go. But like at the same time, we haven't heard from Xbox and Bethesda in a while, like a lot of these companies. So Nintendo does their thing every couple of months. They do their Nintendo Directs. Ubisoft hasn't done much. So I mean, there could be some big announcements coming out of here, and it's just a matter of is this just a like a loss year or 2 years for the ESA, and then next year they bring it back. It's back in LA, or I don't know.
It might literally be exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Like, because E3 was dying. E3 was dying out. And the opportunity to get everyone back in one place again to celebrate video games in the middle of a generally pretty slow period.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing the Summer Games Fest again, right? With IGN. Is it IGN and Jeff Keighley?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Like, but the opportunity to physically get everyone back in, even if it is 2022, like if this hadn't happened, if COVID hadn't happened, I reckon E3 would have been dead this year. But
yeah.
And now I think it has an opportunity to come back because, the desire is there.
Well, I think it needs to come back, but it also needs to be different. Like they were leaning in the right direction with their letting more public in and that sort of thing. But at the same time, it was still like it needs to be more like a Gamescom or something like that.
Yeah,
it needs to be somewhere in between a PAX and a Gamescom, or I don't know. Like I still think it needs to be very much focused on like the media business development side, because that's generally the focus of it. But they need to start bringing in public somehow, like hands on to some of this stuff.
Yeah.
maybe this is a good time for them to do it. Anyway, there you go. Looking forward to that in June. And the next piece of news, it's the last one we've got here, is an interesting one. MLB The Show 21 will release day and date on the Game Pass for Xbox. If people aren't aware, MLB The Show is a PlayStation first-party baseball game.
Yeah. Which makes this pretty fucking interesting, hey? Like,
this is the first time MLB The Show has come out on Xbox.
Yeah.
And it's coming out on Game Pass.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy, right? It's a huge question about why would Sony let this happen, right?
I was reading an article earlier that it wasn't Sony's decision. That it was actually MLB's decision, the baseball league. Yeah. In that they wanted it across more platforms, which, I guess they want more money as well. So looks like Sony was willing to come to bat with MLB and make this thing work out, which is, at the end of the day, it's better for everyone, right?
Yeah, of course. I'll actually play this. I don't think I would normally, but I'll play a baseball.
I think it's only console Game Pass as well, if I recall.
That's fine. I don't. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not coming to PC at all, right? So, yeah. I'm about it, man. Like I'll play it. Does it have crossplay? That's the other question, I guess.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
That would be huge, eh? Because that'd be a big deal. I doubt it does, but it'd be a really good fucking. Imagine the first time they go to a different console.
Cross-platform progression confirmed.
Progression, but
does that mean PlayStation to PlayStation, or is that just Xbox and Xbox?
Yeah, right.
I
don't know.
MLB The Show 21 wiki, is it coming out on the old systems? It is. So yeah, it could be just platform specific. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
That's what you get here. I don't assume this is not a The Last of Us Part 3 is going to be on Xbox. No. Like, I think people need to.
If it wasn't MLB, if it was a Major League Baseball decision, then I don't know that Sony will be replicating it everywhere. Although they have been gradually coming to the party with bringing their first-party games to more platforms. Those platforms have not been direct competition. So
yeah, PC.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. Like, this could. Maybe they get some numbers back and they're like, maybe our next AAA game isn't there, but we've got some other stuff that we're working on, some, third-party stuff that will come to play.
Big game.
Which one?
The PlayStation motorbike zombies was awful.
I don't remember.
The one was like Sons of Anarchy with zombies and bad survival mechanics. And come on, what was it called? It was
Days Gone.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, Days okay. Gone. I always got to replay that because they just brought it on PlayStation 5 with the updates.
Yay!
And I thought some of that game was okay.
As we've seen from Outriders, you'll fucking find the good in any game.
Hey, it had cool zombie mechanics. Yeah, I mean, that could be something interesting they look at, right? Older games that they're like, all right, let's do a deal. Let's get Days Gone on Xbox, or let's get, I don't know, what else? Death Stranding on Xbox. Or
fucking garbage.
What's David Cage up to these days? Getting on Xbox.
We'll get The Last of Us and all the good stuff. God of War. That's staying on PlayStation. If you want to play the good stuff on PlayStation, you got to get a PlayStation. You want to play the shit stuff? Hey, get an Xbox.
But that might be a smart decision, right? Of being like, hey, we're releasing Horizon Zero Dawn. Is it Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah.
On Xbox.
Day and date on Game Pass.
Well, no, I'm talking about the first game, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
Not the what's the next one? I can't even remember the freaking names of these games. There's too many of them.
We're doing well.
Yeah.
3 hours have passed. Our brains are shutting off.
Yeah, Forbidden West is the next one. But like just like 6 months before that game comes out, chuck it on Game Pass. You get all these Xbox people playing and be like, this game's pretty good. Oh, that new one's coming out. Maybe I should get a PlayStation. But would Xbox allow that to happen as well? Or would they be like, no, we're good? I don't know. Hey, I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see.
That's what we're here for, ideas. All right, and that's the news. We managed to drag that one out, didn't we?
We sure did.
2 stories. Do we have anything else going on? Questions?
No questions.
Cool. I can go watch some basketball.
I can go eat some lunch.
We have the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all the places you get podcasts from. You can find us on the Gap or the GA podcast. If you do have a moment, please rate and review. The show helps other people find us on the internet or those podcasting platforms. If you would like to find us on social media, we're at facebook.com/GA podcast, twitter.com/GA podcast. You can find us on YouTube, thegapodcast.com/YouTube. Watch this in video format. If you go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord, you can jump in there, talk about all sorts of things that are going on. How bad? Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? The new fucking PGI PUBG tournament format. Who is the
holy shit
person that was like, you know what PUBG needs? No killing. It's now a hide and seek game. They said they're taking feedback.
They were taking feedback, right? Liam LJM linked a tweet from FaZe Fuzzface, illustrating that what is it? An 8-way tie for second if they had done it. If they had introduced that format for the current PGIS.
Like,
for second?
I don't understand. Like, is it literally a dartboard? And they're just like, all right, that's what we're doing this year. Oh, well.
The team that would have come first in the new format would have had the 7th most kills. The 7th most kills. 6 other teams would have had more kills than and a win. Actually, not even the 7th, the 12th most kills.
Yeah. So for clarification, people don't know, PUBG was, I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but they were changing their esports tournament structure for the next season, where kills did not accumulate any points at all for each round. It was only your placement, like where you came in that map. So the team that came first or the last team surviving got the most points, and then it trickled down from there. And if there were any tied situations, they would then look at kills and see who got what kills. So kills were not a factor at all. And we've talked about this at length a lot, right? We should just send them our podcast from 2017 and be like, we talked about it back then, and here's the problems. They eventually went to pretty close to sort of like what we discussed. Making kills matter, making the game more engaging, but instead they've decided to go to this other format that is just going to make games boring. Why even bother having a 30-minute game or a 25-minute game if that first 15 minutes or 18 minutes is not going to count? Just make it an 8-minute game and just fucking have everyone dump in a little circle, and there's your battle royale. You give them all the weapons as well.
The amount of passive play you would see out of this new format, holy fuck. It would literally turn it into like no action at the start of every
Which is what was happening before. At least now it's sort of, you get a little bit, like there's no incentive to fight anymore.
There is literally none, because predominantly team outside of who was that? Who is that Southeast Asian team that swam up out the water and fucking won on the finals week?
Oh, yeah.
outside of that amazingness, predominantly the team with 4 players left in the final circle will win. Like that is statistically overwhelming. So yeah.
Unless Joab's in your team, then he's just hitting brick walls the entire time. But you could talk about our Discord channels, the gapodcast.com/Discord. Jump in there and I don't know, play some Hell Let Loose. There's generally people playing a bunch of that every once in a while. And
that's if they ever do crossplay, we can play Outriders together. Or if you're on Xbox or PlayStation. Theoretically, Xbox and PlayStation can play together.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
That might be fucked as well. Anyway.
Yeah, you can go to our website, thegapodcast.com. You can look at all our previous podcasts. Joab's been posting all sorts of videos on there every week. Last one was a battle royale. Anything coming this week?
Not this week. No, like I was saying last week, I'm going to spread it out to fortnightly because work gets in the way and either the quality suffers or I posted late, so I may as well just.
I look forward to reading the why you should play Outriders on easy mode from the why you should play Witcher on easy mode.
I might fucking do it, man. I might fucking do it. Holy shit. Yeah. Unbelievable.
The easy mode guy's back.
Yeah. Counts in easy mode.
Yeah.
Except in The Witcher, you would be playing on easy mode because the story is so good. Whereas in Outriders, just don't play it at all. Because the story's trash.
The story's
broken.
Story's not great. Anyway, that's thegapodcast.com. That's all thanks to our Patreon members who help support the show. Keep the podcast going. If you'd like to do that, you can go to patreon.com/thegapodcast, become a recurring member, get the podcast early, even earlier this week by the looks of things. Unless we have any embargoes. I don't think so. No. So there you go. So thank you everyone that does that every week.
Thank you so much.
Anything you want to pimp out for this week that you got going on?
Hit me up on Twitter at JoeyJojo. And let me know if you want to play some fucking Outriders together on Xbox. On the Discord, I suppose.
Yeah. You can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawrie, and that is it. We'll see you all next week. Looks like Joab's going to go to the bathroom. No?
I do. I really do. Yeah.
Let's drag things out then. Let's see how far we can drag it out before you.
I needed to go since we're talking about fucking E3. We went fucking along on that one. Anyway.
All right. See you then.
Love you. Bye.